A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
This, I believe. Henry Cowell, one of America's leading composers, began his career as a professional musician in 1913, at the age of 16. Since then, he has written 11 symphonies, as well as a number of shorter works. He has also taught at many leading colleges and universities, and done much for the cause of good music throughout the world. Here is Henry Cowell's creed.
I believe in music, its spirituality, its exaltation, its ecstatic nobility, its humor, its power to penetrate to the basic fineness of every human being. As a creator of music, I contribute my religious, philosophical, and ethical beliefs in terms of the world of creative sound. That sound which flows through the mind of the composer with a concentrated intensity that baffles description, the sound which is the very life of the composer, and which is the sum and substance of his faith and feeling. When he offers a composition, one should remember that it is complete, concrete, and full of dynamic force in his mind and consciousness, and that a performance is only a run-through of the music for the benefit of those who listen, those who the composer hopes will respond. Yet this presentation will, if successful, so impregnate the listener with the philosophy of the composer that it is shared both in the realm of feeling and that of intelligence. Since I am more used to expressing ideas in music than in words, I find that the latter seem inadequate and do not have the drive, positiveness, and persuasiveness that I should hope for in a musical presentation. But here are what words I have. My belief is that the golden rule is the supreme guide in human relations. I do not believe that any race or people is better or worse than any other. I believe that each human being should have the liberty to be an individual, and that everyone who wins the right to act in his own way must, in return to society, behave ethically. I used to be almost totally uninterested in politics, but it becomes increasingly clear to me that ethical individualism cannot flourish under radically extreme political conditions. Thus, I abhor communism, under which individualism is impossible and expression of liberal thought is punishable. And I abhor its right-wing counterpart, under which innocent liberals fear persecution and reprisals of various sorts if they express their sincere ideas for the betterment of the government. My own belief is in a regard for individual rights according to the letter and spirit of the United States Constitution. This I fight for by creating music which I hope will reach and touch all those who listen, so that they will be thereby encouraged to behave according to their own highest possibilities. Unexpected inner response to the power of music dedicated to human integrity might reach dictators more easily than an atom bomb. In any event, I believe that a truly devoted musical work acts to humanize the behavior of all hearers who allow it to penetrate to their innermost being. This is why I am a composer.
That was Henry Cowell, whose musical works have won him wide acclaim. He lives in Shady, New York, and teaches in New York City and Baltimore.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Say, Casey, do you think they'll ever put my statue in the Hall of Fame?
What are you famous for, Ethelbert?
For 27 straight years, I always got the same part of the turkey. That's some kind of a record, ain't it?
Well, because you consistently get it in the neck, that might make you notorious, but not really famous.
No, Ethelbert. You know, you have to do something really big, something important to deserve a famous name.
Like what?
Well, like Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, After Turkey, the Bill. 7 o'clock in the evening, a medium-priced uptown restaurant known as Petrarchus's Olympian. At a table for two, a flashily dressed young man pushes aside his empty plate and says to the pretty girl who sits opposite,
Hey, that turkey wasn't half bad.
You didn't leave much of it.
Neither did you. Shall I order dessert now?
Uh-huh.
Hey, waiter. Gus,
Okay, kid. What do you want now, Joe?
we're ready for the plum pudding now.
Two plums pudding.
That's what you want, too, isn't it, Lottie?
Yes, and coffee.
Same here.
Okay, kid.
I don't know why you won't let me do anything for you in a classy way, Lottie. I asked you out for a Thanksgiving spread, and you made me bring you to a cheap place like this.
Joe, you can't afford to throw your money away.
Well, you know what I can afford. I may not have as good a job as my cousin Bird yet, but that doesn't
What's
mean
Bird got to do with
He's
it?
got plenty to do with it. If you didn't have to work today, you'd be out with him now instead of me, I know.
Bird isn't working tonight, Joe. He came home before we left there. I could have had dinner with him if I'd wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be like that, please.
Why shouldn't I be? While I was away, you and him became awful good friends.
We were always friends, the three of us. We grew up on the same block.
Yeah, but while I was away, he moved into your old man's rooming house so we could be closer friends.
Oh, don't start that again tonight. We're out for a pleasant evening, and it has been pleasant so far. Please, Joe.
All right. Comes out dessert.
Two plums pudding. And coffee.
You know, when you go out with me, Lottie, you're going to get class whether you think I can afford it or not. I'm going to take you to Danceland. I'm going to buy you a whole roll of tickets. Best you'd get out of that tightwad fur is a soda and a movie. All right, it's all out, Gus. Bring me a check, will you?
You said it, Joe.
All right, Joe, since you won't drop the subject, we'll talk about Bird.
Swell.
He wants me to marry him.
Figured that from that dirty double-crosser.
He isn't a double-crosser.
He knows I've been going with you since we were kids, that I've always been crazy about you. And while I was taking that bum rap on the reformatory...
You didn't take a bum rap, Joe. You asked for what you got.
All right, so the cops had the goods on me. That gave Bird no right
It
to...
gave me a right to do a lot of thinking.
So you decided a sneaky yellow drip like my cousin is a better bet than me, huh?
I don't think Bird is sneaky or yellow.
Oh, you don't, huh?
No. And I don't think you're a criminal.
It's nice of you to say that.
I'm not being nice. I'm saying what I believe. If you make me sure you've learned your lesson,
Yeah?
well, you won't have to worry about me liking Bird or anyone. There's never really been anybody but you, Joe. Only I've got to be sure.
How do I make you sure, Lottie?
Just show me and Dad that you're steady, that's all.
And I've been showing you that since I came back. Didn't I get a job right away?
Yes, Joe, but I don't see how you can afford those 2 new suits and that overcoat with what you're making.
Oh, I get it. Bird can buy clothes or take you out, and it's okay, isn't it? He's never had trouble with the cops. But the minute I spend an extra buck, you and your old man figure I've glommed it somewhere.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Your old man especially. Hates my insides. He don't want you to have anything to do with it.
If Dad hated you, he wouldn't let you stay at our rooming house.
He rents rooms and I pay for the one I rent. That's business. And to ease your mind about the extra dough I spent, Lottie, I'm a lucky guy with dice and a good pool player.
Here's your check, kid.
Thanks, Gus. Pay you so we can get out of here. We're going to Danceland. What?
Joe?
I haven't got my wallet.
Oh, you've lost your money?
I don't know. Maybe I left it home.
Well, phone Dad. He'll look in your room.
Well, if he found it, I'd have to go there for it. It's only a few blocks. You stay here, Lottie, while I go
Oh, you don't have to leave the lady here, kid. You're an old customer. I know you come back and pay.
Well, thanks, Gus, but I can make better time alone. Hand me my overcoat with even that ragged sleeve blue in there.
Sure. Oh, this fancy coat. Nice and bright, with red stripes. You got a class, kid.
Yeah, but right now I got no dough. I'll come back as soon as I can, Lottie.
I hope you find your money.
Yeah, I hope so, too. And how?
Gee, Casey, it's nice of you and Miss Williams to have Thanksgiving dinner here in the Blue Note with me.
Oh, we're nice people, Ethelbert.
Well, the very best. True, warm-hearted, and generous to a fault. Pass the salt.
Also honest, kind, and steadfast. Here's the salt. And
Sure.
pepper.
You know, we're really understating our sterling qualities, eh? We've risen to the heights of magnanimity, whatever that is, by chewing Thanksgiving turkey in this crummy joint we see every day simply because our little pal here had to work and could only get away from his bartending long enough to grab a meal on the house. We hope you appreciate our sacrifice, Ethelbert.
Oh, I do.
Good. Pardon my reach for the Tabasco. To prove your gratitude, Ethelbert, you can pay for our dinners.
Yeah, well...
Tabasco, any?
Huh?
Thanks. Hey, you've made a splendid suggestion, Casey. Paying our bill will relieve Ethelbert of a small part of his obligation for our company.
Yep.
Say, come to think of it, you two are working today yourselves. You didn't have time to get a full meal any further away from your office than this crummy joint.
Ethelbert, you impugn our motives. He destroys my faith in human nature.
Yes. The spirit of the day is entirely lost upon this lug.
Casey, if you'd pay me what you already owe this crummy joint, I'd be only too happy to buy you dinner. Get it, Walter?
This guy's too wise for us, Annie.
I'm afraid so, Casey.
Casey,
Oh, yeah, Walter?
you wanted the bar phone, you said it dead.
Oh, nuts. I'm only just finished my turkey.
No, this means no dessert, Casey.
I'll see what Burke wants.
Well, stall him off if you can.
Yeah, I'll do my best, Annie. Hello, Grace. Hello, Casey speaking. Look, Burke, we haven't finished our dinner yet. Oh, all right. Wait till I get my pencil. Corner of Whitestone and Evans. Well, what happened there? What, is that all? For a run-of-the-mill story like that, we got to leave our dessert? Well, okay, Burke. All right, goodbye. Why I stick to this newspaper racket, I don't know.
What was it, Casey?
All the Look, we got to get out to Whitestone and Evans, Ann. Some mug just held up a filling station there and got away with a couple of $100.
Did he shoot anyone?
No.
Huh?
Just one of those inside page fillers. Burke says news is light and we got to cover it.
All right, where is Whitestone and Evans?
It's way uptown, not far from Petrakis Olympian Restaurant. You know, we've eaten there a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember. Any description of the hold-up guy?
Yeah, he wore a flashy blue overcoat with red stripes. See you later, pal.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long. Say, wait! Who's going to pay for this crummy joint?
Our story will continue in just a moment. In mansion or cottage, in city or town, Thanksgiving Day is a time for family reunions, feasting, and fun. But through all the gaiety, there runs a deep note of real thanksgiving for blessings past and present. There's a tacit recognition that a better-fed nation is a stronger, happier nation. And one of the ways in which the American way has made its greatest progress is in the production, preparation, and distribution of food. Now, take the matter of delivering food alone. The great organizations who process and ship us our better foods know that flavor, purity, and freshness are best preserved by clean, sanitary glass. And that's why, as you look around the shelves of your food stores, you see that so many famous brands are brought to you in gleaming, protective containers made of glass. Containers that preserve and safeguard flavor and taste while they permit you to see in advance exactly what you're buying. It's noteworthy that many of the leading brands of food of all kinds come to you in Anchor glass containers sealed with tamper-proof Anchor caps. Products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Here's what happened, Miss Williams. I'm working the station, see? I'm here in the office when this hold-up guy opens the door and says, "Give me your dough."
He had a gun, of course.
Oh, sure, he had a gun. The time was about 7:15.
What did you notice about the guy aside from his flashy overcoat?
Well, he wore his hat pulled down over his eyes, and a handkerchief was tied around the lower part of his face. Also, he worked fast.
What'd he do?
Well, he told me to get into the the restroom there and to keep quiet. He locked the door on me, and I heard him open up the money drawer there, and then I heard him leave the joint. I started pounding on the door, and after a while, I managed to bust out. That was about 7:45. And then I phoned the cops.
You mind if I shoot a picture of that busted door, Sergeant?
Go ahead, Casey.
Thanks.
You'll want to picture me, too, won't you, Mr. Casey?
Huh? You? Oh, sure, yeah. The door and you. I'll shoot the door first.
It's going to give me old lady a big kick to see me written up with a paper.
Hey, was this big puddle of grease in front of this door, Jones, when the hold-up guy locked you in?
Oh, yeah. I spilled it there earlier, and I hadn't enough time to clean it up.
Now, the mug must have stepped in it, Casey. Along with the description of his flashy coat I've sent out, I included instructions to look for a guy with dirty grease stains on his shoes.
Well, the two things together ought to nail him, Sergeant.
Yeah, I told the sergeant here's something else that ought to nail a guy.
What's that?
Well, one of the bills he stole out of the money drawer was an old 20 that had been torn in two and kind of stuck together with Scotch tape. I took it in just before the robbery, so I remember it.
Well, looks like you cops have plenty to work on, Sarge.
Yeah.
Well, we got all there is, Annie. Let's blow out of here and get back to the Blue Note, get some plum pudding and coffee.
Papa, come on.
Hey, ain't you going to take my picture first?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'll kind of stand here by the empty cash drawer and point my finger at it.
Yeah, that'll be original. So stand and point, pal. Go ahead.
Great.
All set now. Shoot.
Jones.
Hey, Gus, I'm getting my picture took. Don't walk in front of the camera.
I have just heard what happened to you. About that guy in the blue overcoat which hold you up.
Well, I'll tell you all about that later, Gus. As soon as I get my picture.
No, I tell you and those cops about it now.
You'll tell.
Who are you?
Oh, I am Gus Nikopopoulos. I am waiter in Petrakis Olympian restaurant 3 blocks from here. And I know who is the kid who robbed my good friend Jones.
You know?
Yeah, I know as soon as I am told the news about that fancy overcoat.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I tell you cops everything. Even where to find this hold-up kid. He tell me he is going with his girl to dance line.
You got no right to pull me off that dance floor, copper.
Don't believe this waiter, Sergeant. Joe hasn't held up anybody.
We're going to see about that. Close the door, will you, Casey?
Okay, Sarge.
Now, this overcoat we got from the check room, it's yours, isn't it, Bowers?
Yeah, that's my coat.
And you, Jones. Say the guy who stuck you up wore a coat just like it?
It's the same coat, Sergeant.
You're nuts. The store I bought this blanket had a couple of dozen just like it.
Now, take it easy, kid. If your story's okay, we'll check on everyone who owns a coat like this. I'm going to search you. While I'm at it, you can tell us what you did after leaving Petraka's restaurant. After you couldn't find your wallet, I mean.
I went straight to my room and house to look for my dough. Finally, I found it in the dresser drawer. And I came straight back to Petrakis for Lottie. That's Miss Newcomb here.
Yeah.
The dough's in that wallet you just took out of my pocket. It's about $40, and it's mine. I didn't steal it.
Hey, is that torn 20 in the wallet, Sergeant?
No, Jones.
Torn 20.
I guess he hasn't got a gun on him either, Sarge.
He's clean, Casey.
Yeah, so are his shoes. Grease would show up plain on those light tans.
Well, he may have changed shoes and hidden a few things.
Yeah. How far is your rooming house from that filling station, kid?
It's 2 blocks away down Evans Street. My father runs it.
How long did Joe leave you in Petrakis while he was finding his money?
I didn't time it.
It wasn't more than 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour. So what?
So you had plenty of time to stick up Jones and go to your room before you came back to Petrakis.
All right, if that's the way you dope it, copper, search my room.
I'm going to do that little thing, young fella. All of you. Let's go.
Lottie, why have you and Joe come home with all these people and these policemen?
Everything's all right, Dad. They've made a mistake about Joe, but it's going to be all right.
A mistake about Joe?
A big mistake, Mr. Newcomb.
I don't understand.
I'm Sergeant Healy, 5th Detective District. There was a stick-up a few blocks from here tonight, and Joe Bowers here is under suspicion.
A stick-up? Joe?
He didn't do it, Dad. I know he didn't.
You were with him, Lottie. You must know.
Your daughter wasn't with him for a long half hour. Mr. Newcomb, I haven't taken time to get a search warrant, so I'd like your permission to go over Joe's room.
Give him a go-ahead. I have. They'll find nothing to tie me up with any heist job.
All right with you, sir?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thanks. Take me to your room, Bowers.
Come on.
Everybody else stay here with this uniformed officer.
Miss Williams and I'd like to go with you and Joe, Sarge.
Okay, Casey.
Oh, thanks, Sergeant.
My room's on the next floor. It's right up those stairs.
Well, lead the way, kid. And don't try anything tricky.
Why should I try anything? What you got on me is that a stick-up guy wore an overcoat like mine. And that's all you're gonna get. There's the door of my room, copper. Open it. Make yourself at home.
Give me a key.
The door isn't locked. I never bother. I'll turn on the lights. Now do your stuff.
I will.
You won't find anything locked up here. Because I got nothing worth stealing. And nothing to hide. Now, if you were going to work on my cousin's room across the hall, you'd need a fistful of keys. He's one of those careful, secretive guys.
You got a cousin living across the hall?
Yeah, his name's Ferd. A Ferdinand. And is he a crumb?
I take it you don't like him.
I like him about as much as he likes me. Maybe more. Because he's been making a play for my girl. He isn't getting anywhere. How you doing, copper? You see anything of the dough I'm supposed to have stolen or the gat you think I use in that stick-up?
Not yet, kid.
And you won't. I'm 100% in the clear.
Oh, yeah? How did this get under your carpet?
What?
Casey.
A torn $20 bill.
Stuck together with Scotch tape.
I never saw that bill before.
And I think Jones will identify it as the one taken from his cash drawer.
Wait a minute. There's more dough under this rug, Sarge. A couple of $100 at least.
I spotted it, Casey.
I don't know how it got there. I didn't pull that stick-up.
Cut the comedy, Joe. This money nails
This
you.
is a frame-up. I tell you, it's a
Where'd
frame-up.
you hide your gun?
I never had a gun. I swear I did.
Come clean, kid. Where's the gun?
Wait a minute. Will you give me a break? Let me think. Let me think a minute. Yeah, there's just one mug will pull a thing like this. And if you're right, guys, you won't let him get away with it. Question Ferd, Sergeant. Question my cousin Ferd. His room's right across the hall.
Might be a good idea, Sergeant.
Okay. Let's go over.
There's the room.
Yes? I'd like to talk to you a minute. This is the police.
Just a second. We're just starting to get ready for bed.
I'm Detective Sergeant Healy, young man. This is Miss Williams and, Mr. Casey.
Are you?
Hello there.
What do you want?
Let me close this door. Your cousin Joe here has made some accusations against you that it's my duty to investigate.
Oh, he has he?
Do you own an overcoat like Joe's here? Blue with red stripes?
An overcoat like that?
Or have you ever worn one?
I wouldn't wear a zoot blanket like that if you paid me.
You say?
Yes, I say.
Mind if I look around your room?
Why?
Bert, someone wearing an overcoat like Joe's held up the Whitestone filling station tonight. And...
What?
You know where I bought this coat, Ferd. I think you got one just like it on the QT. I think you slipped my wallet out of my pocket just before I left here with Lottie tonight, so I'd have to leave her and look for it. You were watching the restaurant when I left it. You went to that filling
Why,
station.
you're crazy. Sergeant, you can't believe
Maybe
it.
I don't. But I want to search your room.
Oh, wait a minute.
Huh?
Have you got a search warrant?
No.
Then get out of here.
Say.
I know my rights. Unlike a certain relative of mine, I've got a clean record.
Who are you calling a lousy
You,
rat?
Joe.
Why, I'll knock
And
your
if
teeth
it's-
out.
Cut it up. Cut it, both of you. So you don't want me to search your room, hey, young fella?
You heard me before, Sergeant.
Hey, pal, wait a minute. You're taking the wrong attitude. If you got nothing to hide, this isn't the way to show it.
He's got a good reason for saying you can't search, and I'm going to prove it.
Keep out of that closet, Joe.
Take me if you can.
I'll make you hold it, Bert. Let me go.
Come out of there, Joe. I'll get a warrant.
You
I'll
won't
tell
need a
you-
warrant, Sarge. Look there. In the
What?
back of his closet, covered with other clothes.
Oh. An overcoat like yours.
Just like mine.
And in its pocket, there's a gun.
I never saw that coat before. I never saw that gun.
Well, somebody did. Come on. I'm taking you both to headquarters.
I don't know how that overcoat got in my closet, Sergeant. I swear I never saw it or that gun before.
So you've been saying for it. Both of you get into this car.
You did this to me, Joe.
Sure, I got wise to your frame up, you louse. I threw it right back at you.
We'll continue our discussion at the station house.
Of course, you'll only hold me long enough to get my testimony. I'll be back home in an hour or so.
Maybe. You and Miss Williams tagging along after us, Casey?
No, Sarge. I may give you a buzz later, though.
We still have our Thanksgiving dinner to finish.
So why don't you two get jobs that won't make you work on holidays?
Why don't you?
You mean like Captain Logan?
I've been thinking about it for the last 25 years. Good night.
Night,
Go on.
Sergeant Healy. Come on, let's get in our car, Casey, and get our stuff to the paper.
I'm going back to that rooming house, Annie.
Why?
Are you convinced that Cousin Bird framed Cousin Joe?
Well, his attempt to prevent a search of his room didn't look very good.
Annie, I'm just thinking.
Oh, Joe found that overcoat with what might be called surprising ease.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that Joe would invite his own arrest in order to frame his cousin. Why, one little slip.
The framer, whoever he is, did make a slip, Annie. His plan didn't anticipate a grease puddle. And he had to get rid of a pair of shoes that may walk back and kick him.
Well, none of the shoes in Joe's room or in Bird's had any grease stains on them.
No. Sergeant Healy hasn't forgotten those missing shoes, and he'll be back pretty soon to really look for them. Well, I'm going to start looking right now. I'll ring Newcomb's bell.
Sometimes I wish your snooping instincts were more restrained, Casey. I'd like a cup of coffee now and talk.
Hi, Mr. Newcomb.
Mr. Casey?
Yes, may we come in?
Of course, but
We didn't go with Sergeant Healy and his prisoners. I wanted to ask, how's your daughter now? She wasn't taking this thing very well when we left.
Oh, she feels terrible about it. Miss Williams, perhaps a woman can talk to her better than I can. Will you try to convince her that everything will come out all right?
Well, I'll gladly try, Mr. Newcomb.
She's in our private living room.
Yeah, go on in and talk to her alone, Annie. I'll stay here.
All right.
It breaks my heart to see my girl crying, Mr. Casey. She's all I have. She blames herself for what has happened. It isn't her fault that two young fools became so infatuated with her. I knew they hated each other, but I never anticipated anything like this.
No, guess not.
Of course, you had some reason for coming back here, Mr. Casey.
Yes, I came back to ask your permission.
Yes?
I want permission to ask a few personal questions between ourselves and off the record.
Very well.
You haven't wanted Joe for a son-in-law, have you?
In my place, would you? The boy has served a reformatory sentence that, according to my observation, has failed to steady him or improve his sense of values.
Ferd has been Joe's opposite, I imagine.
He always seemed so.
Lottie strikes me as a pretty sensible girl, Mr. Newcomb. Unless one of those fellows confesses he framed the other, or it can be definitely proven, she'll doubt both of them too much to marry either one of them.
Yes, I think that's so.
And as there'll be no confession or definite proof, things should work out exactly as you planned.
As I planned?
You're the guy behind this double frame-up.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
You didn't think I'd be back, did you? You shouldn't have changed back into those comfortable old shoes after Sergeant Healy left here. You did a lousy job of cleaning off that grease.
Oh, but
you held up that filling station and framed both the boys to keep your daughter from marrying either one of them.
I was very foolish, wasn't I?
Yes, I think so. Shall I call Sergeant Healy?
All right. You can call Sergeant Healy, Mr. Casey. I'm ready to confess.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let me take a close look at those shoes.
What?
The pool of grease in that filling station you heard us talk about wasn't deep enough to reach far above the soles of a shoe. Hey. You greased those shoes yourself. You spread it on so thick it covers the toes and heels.
I didn't spread it on.
Pal, you're a beautiful liar. And I'm a beautiful dope. You greased those shoes and put them on knowing the cops would come back and spot them. You were willing to take the rap. Because your kid is in love with one of those punks.
You can't prove that. Nobody can. And when I confess, that's all that's needed.
You forget. The police lab will compare the grease on these shoes with a filling station grease, and it won't be the same. And then Sergeant Healy will go right back to work on Joe and Ferd.
The police laboratory can tell?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Newcomb. But if it couldn't, don't you think your confession would be much harder for your daughter to take than the loss of a little rat she thinks she cares for?
But I couldn't bear to see her cry anymore. All I could think of to do was what I tried. You see, I know the guilty boy, Mr. Casey, and she's loved Joe ever since they were children.
You know Joe?
I found his grease-stained shoes hidden in the cellar tonight. His taste in shoes is like his taste in overcoats, so I could make no mistake.
Oh. Well, let's get him and take him to the cops. Later, Mr. Newcomb, your daughter's going to realize that the lowdown she'll get on Joe tonight is a cause for real Thanksgiving.
join the crowd of the Blue Note in just a moment.
This is Harry Marble to remind you how important the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle is to your enjoyment of ale and beer. It's a custom-made container made just for you. No one has used it before, and no one ever will use it again. When you're through with it, you dispose of it as you would any other food container. There's no deposit, no fuss or bother. And the new Anchor Glass one-way bottle assures you of sparkling ale and beer without cloudiness and with no foreign flavor or aroma. Beer that's truly brewery bright. Most of the brewers of New England and those who ship ale and beer into New England have adopted this bottle for your protection and added convenience. For the Anchor Glass one-way bottle not only costs the brewer less than any other type of single-trip container, but it also gives you much more for your money. So here's a good rule. When buying ale and beer, always demand a glass bottle. And for extra convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
So, the shoes fit Joe and he had to wear 'em, huh, Casey?
They pinched so tight he cracked wide open, Ethelbert. He admitted planting a duplicate of his coat in Ferd's closet, everything.
If his scheme had worked, Lottie would never have spoke to Ferd again, and she'd have married Joe.
Well, that was Joe's idea, Ethelbert, but it worked out in reverse. Lottie sank into Ferd's manly arms when she heard the lowdown, and she seemed very comfortable.
Gee, what some guys will do for love. As my sister Edna says, quote, if love didn't make the world go round, there wouldn't be so much dizziness. Unquote.
Or so much niceness.
Yeah. A grand guy, Lottie's old man. Hey, Annie, what's the matter with us? We got plum pudding and coffee still coming to us. How about it, Ethelbert, huh?
Oh, it's about time.
Well, what's so funny?
There isn't any more.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. If civilization is to survive, we must reaffirm our religious faith. It's up to each of us. Do your part by supporting and attending your church or synagogue. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This I believe. Sir Henry Dale is a foremost English scientist and statesman of science. He is a big, broad, white-haired man who at 77 preserves a tremendous zest and a lively sense of fun. His achievements have won him a Nobel Prize and the presidencies of both the Royal Academy and the British Association for the Advancement of Science. Here is Sir Henry Dale's creed.
I believe in the supreme value of truth. and in man's unrestricted search for truth as one of the first conditions of his moral as well as his material progress. The truth found by man's searching will be liable always to be superseded, revised, or extended with the unending progress of his discoveries. Yet it is something to be revered and to be defended against any attempt to suppress or to distort it for any purpose. This reverence for truth, with so much else that we prized, was rudely disturbed by war, and some effect of that violence seems still to linger. But it must be restored to its position of central authority in any code of morality, as a main bastion of defense against a creed which degrades truth into a mere expedient, to be mutilated or discarded in the service of political dogma. Truth belongs to all mankind, and it has no political frontiers or national varieties. To me, as a physiologist, it is especially clear that all my knowledge of material nature, of which my own body and brain are a part, comes to me through messages which nerves transmit from sense organs to my brain, where they somehow evoke a picture of what my conscious mind takes to be an external reality. While this link between brain action and mind remains, as at present, a mystery, no scientist can with full conviction be a materialist. Yet in his scientific work he must assume the material reality of what his mind perceives and an unbroken sequence in it of cause and effect, an assumption indeed not different from that which we are all obliged to make in the normal conduct of our daily life. Yet each of us, whether saint or scientist, finds himself under a like compulsion to assume in the conduct of ordinary life that his mind has freedom of choice and decision, and therewith to accept a moral responsibility. The progress of knowledge is making ever clearer the dependence of mind, character, and personality on the integrity of the brain, and is tracing the lines of a physical basis for the heredity by which so much of personality is transmitted. As I watch this progress, I find it impossible to believe in a personal survival after body and brain are dust. Yet I am conscious of a paramount need to believe in a moral purpose in life, and of a desire for common action with all who share that belief in defense of the great ethical and cultural heritage of our Western world. Would it be possible in such a cause for scientists, with their devotion to the changing and progressive truth which man's discovery is winning, to form a common front with those who claim to expound a truth divinely revealed and subject to no change? Perhaps a rallying point could be found in A.N. Whitehead's conception of religion as world loyalty.
They're the beliefs of Sir Henry Dale, a British scientist who was knighted and awarded the Order of Merit for his outstanding contributions in bringing science to the ordinary citizen.
Time does not pay.
Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview, Lucy.
Yes, Mrs. Appleton.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. And things I recommended you to.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
It's Mrs. Greenleaf, you remember? I sent her to you. And we had a foursome. Donald, Leonard, she and myself. And now her house has been robbed, and she wants to place charges with the police against those two wonderful boys we met through you.
Nothing like this has ever happened to any of the young men in my escort bureau, Mrs. Appleton. Nothing, ever. If I saw Mrs. Greenleaf, would I be able to... If it wasn't my boy? And will you take me to her?
Oh, yes. To both questions.
Very well. I'll pick you up at your place in half an hour. Don, Lenny, come in here, both of you. I think you've made a big mistake.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Escort for Hire, starring Mary Wicks. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Mary Wicks as Lucy Mayview in Escort for Hire. There was nothing about Lucy Mayview nor the Mayview Escort Bureau which would inspire anything but confidence. The Bureau was a suite of rooms in a good hotel, an office suite in the midst of other offices. Neat, clean, efficient, businesslike. Lucy fitted the setting she had chosen. She, too, was neat, efficient, businesslike. The young men who worked for her had just the right modicum of charm, more than balanced by the kind of tweedy, male, rough but good looks which seems to appeal to women who refuse to admit that they've passed the age of 45. So, Lucy did well. So well, she could afford to be choosy about clients. As she explained to her two star employees, Don Williams and Leonard Huntley.
We can afford to take our time, boys. The word's getting round. The ladies love you. They talk. That's enough.
Sure, Lucy. But why not take on a few more fellas, clean up, and retire?
What's your hurry?
Just a suggestion, Lucy. Don likes the green stuff, and so do I.
And I don't? Look, both of you, this business is my operation. I take the real risk, and I do the thinking. We follow my plans.
It was just a suggestion.
Okay. We have two departments in this place, planning and execution. I do the planning, you two execute. Now, about tonight. Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview, this is Louise Appleton.
Oh, Mrs. Appleton. Yes, of course.
Not bad for her age.
Anything the matter, Mrs. Appleton?
Well, yes and no. I have a problem. I thought you might help me. That is, us out.
Well, if you'd explain a little further, Mrs. Appleton.
Well, I know how much in demand your escorts are.
Yes.
But as it happens, I have a friend.
Let me see. Yes, you have an appointment tonight with Donald Williams.
I have, but my friend, Mrs. Greenleaf, Mrs. Helen Greenleaf, happens to be alone. And we thought it'd be nice to have two young men. I know your bureau is busy, but I thought, as I'm, a regular customer and all.
I understand perfectly, Mrs. Appleton. Of course, I'm sure Donald would take perfect care of both of you.
Hey, one like Appleton's
Shut
enough.
up, Don. Don't worry. If you let me look at the appointment book a moment, Mrs. Appleton, yes, I can send Leonard Huntley along. At the usual rate, of course.
Oh, thank you so much, Miss Mayview. You're simply marvelous. And will you tell the boys that black tie will be sufficient?
Yes.
I've planned the most marvelous evening.
Yes, I'm sure you have, Mrs. Appleton. From all I hear, my boys are just about fighting among themselves for the privilege of escorting you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have them at your place at about 8.
Yes, 8 will be perfect. And thank you ever so much. I shall tell all my friends about your wonderful service.
Please do. Goodbye.
Please do what?
Tell her friends. Now, you know the address, Don. Black tie, both of you. 8 sharp. Flowers, the works. Let the poor babes have fun. They pay for it.
Oh, how I hate to see this evening end. Why, it's been glorious.
Oh, thank you, both of you. We did our best, Helen.
Well, here I am.
Good night, Helen, darling.
Good night,
I'm so glad you had fun.
Oh, I did, dear. I truly did.
Shall I take you to your door, Louise, dear?
You stay with Helen. I want her to know what it's like to have 2 men take her home.
The last time that happened was just after I came out. Oh, boy, that was a party.
Oh, I'm sure Leonard...
darling. I'd better go up alone. Mr. Appleton was due in town on the 11 o'clock plane. And, of course, you know, I've been spending the evening with Helen. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Tomorrow, Helen. Not too early. my place, boys. A poor thing, but mine own.
Poor? Why, it's as beautiful as your stables, Helen.
And as charming as yourself.
Thank you, boys. Ooh, I feel so wicked for some reason. 2 young men in my apartment after midnight. That must be it.
And not a single husband in sight.
He is, too.
What?
Oh, don't look so startled, boys. Just a photograph in that picture frame on the piano.
Oh, he looks a lot older than you, Helen.
He was. He died 3 years ago. Now put your hats in the hall closet and be comfortable. The liquor's in that cabinet there. Ice chest built in. I won't be but a minute, boys, and then we can have a nice chat.
Yikes. What a layout.
And not a husband in sight.
Hey, look at the liquor stock. This dame's all right.
Smarter than she acts.
Yeah. And that rope of pearls she's wearing. Real, or I'll swallow them on their string.
And the rocks in those bracelets.
Hey, look here.
Found something?
Wall safe. As easy to open as a piggy bank.
Ixnay,
Now, don't tell me you've been too bashful to mix yourself drinks.
We just waited for you, Helen. Now, what would you like?
Well, you probably think I'm awful, but I'd like a short bourbon and soda for a last drink.
Fine. Make mine light, Len. Jack. You know, Helen, if I may, I'd like to say that you've made both Len and myself forget tonight that we're paid employees. You've been very kind.
Of course I have. I wanted a good time, too. That's the only way. That's the reason, boys, that I never go out with the same young men more than once. Familiarity breeds contempt, you know. Mayview Escort Bureau. Miss Mayview speaking.
Miss Mayview. Lucy.
Yes, Mrs. Appleton.
It's terrible. It's really terrible. And to think that I recommended you to.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't quite follow you.
But Mrs. Greenleaf, you remember? I sent it to you when we had a foursome.
Yes.
Donald, Leonard, she, and myself. And now her house has been robbed. And she wants to place charges with the police against those 2 wonderful boys we met through you.
Nothing like this has ever happened to any of the young men in my escort bureau, Mrs. Appleton. Nothing, ever. If I saw Mrs. Greenleaf, would I be able to convince her it wasn't my boys? And will you take me to her?
Oh, yes. Yes, to both questions.
Very well. I'll pick you up at your place in half an hour. Don, Lenny, come in here, both of you. I think you've made a bad mistake.
Why, what's wrong? Nothing serious.
Sit down. Sit down.
Sure, Lucy. Right, we're sitting.
You 2 took over the Greenleaf joint, didn't you? Well, didn't you?
Now, see here, Lucy, there's no...
Shut up! The Appleton dame just called. Greenleaf is going to file charges.
Holy smoke, she's got no husband.
I know. But Appleton has. And that may be our ace in the hole. I'm going to see Greenleaf with Appleton. If I can get Greenleaf to believe that calling Copper will let Appleton's husband in on what his dear wife has been up to, it may save the situation.
Sure, it'll work. It's bound to. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. Nothing except the fact that Greenleaf will knock us all over town. We operate without a license. The cops have long ears. Nothing except the fact that you looted that place without my okay, without giving me my cut. Now pay up my 50%. The next time you pull a stupid stunt like this, you'll both wind up in cement overcoats. I think you both know that I don't waste words on idle threats. How can you possibly be so certain, Mrs. Greenleaf? Oh, I know it seems suspicious, but I've shown you the boys' references. Mrs. Appleton here has told you how she's been going out with Donald for months. Never a breath of suspicion. Louise is a fool, far bigger than I am. Helen, I never thought for one moment. You never thought, period. Occasionally, Miss Mayview, I indulge myself in the company of men younger than myself. At the close of the evening, I inform them that they will not see me again. Perhaps that's what caused your employees to work so quickly.
May I remind you, Mrs. Greenleaf, that you are making these charges in front of a third party. That is grounds for a suit.
Louise wouldn't dare testify. You wouldn't dare bring suit. You see, I have proof.
What kind of proof? Why, I can't believe my boy.
I opened the door with the key from my evening bag. After they left, that key was missing. The thieves came in and went out by the door while I was sleeping. Your boy, Leonard, mixed our night pocket. I had my chloral hydrate, just enough to make me sleep soundly. I have a case and a good one, and I intend to prosecute. I've held off this long out of respect for Louise. Now, this is your chance to return what was taken from you.
Just a moment, Mrs. Greenleaf. Out of respect for Louise, if you prosecute, the whole story will come out. The world will read in the papers your world of society and society columns that Louise arranged that date.
Helen, don't you see?
Henry will find out, and I'll never be able to hold up my head.
I see only a polite form of blackmail, and I'm not intimidated. My property, Miss Mayview, or the police.
You're very determined, aren't you? Words don't seem to have much effect. Very well, then. In here, boys.
What?
Greetings, lady. Happy to see you again.
What's the meaning of this?
Obviously, we have moved from the region of words to that of action. All right, Don, hold her.
Wait, oh, Lucy, you couldn't. Keep your hands off me. I'd scream you.
She won't yell, Lucy.
No, I can't believe it, Lucy, not you.
Shut up,
now, a small sample, Mrs. Greenleaf. I will not have my business interfered with. If you try anything, you'll die. Slowly. You'll beg to die. You understand? Understand? Understand?
Lucy, she's passed out.
Helen. I started this. Let me help in it. Her heart stopped.
Huh?
I was a nurse's aide, I know. She's dead. All right. She's dead. It's murder, I suppose.
Now, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Yes, brought about during the commission of a felony is murder in this state. Don't argue. Now, you do as you're told. You put her in the bedroom, clean the place of fingerprints, then leave the back way. Louise will escort me out the way we came in. The maid will find the Greenleaf woman. It'll seem natural. And as for you, Appleton, you're into this up to your neck. You breathe a word and you'll be an accessory before and after the fact. I'll see to that. And what your husband will do will seem mild compared to what the law and the newspapers will do to you. You're one of us now. And from here on in, you'll operate under my orders and do exactly as I ask. If you know what's good for you.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Escort for Hire. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Mary Wicks as Lucy Mayview in Escort for Hire. There was no doubt about it. Lucy Mayview had the knack of turning trouble into advantage. She found a way to make Helen Greenleaf's death serve her, and she used it as a club over the heads of the boys as well as Louise Appleton. Lucy could be ruthless. In fact, she rather enjoyed it.
All right, Don. What's wrong?
Nothing.
No, stop it. I've had nothing but bad reports on you. Complaints even. You're preoccupied. You aren't solicitous. You treat our clients as if they weren't even there. 4 weeks of this.
I'm sorry. I'm bored, that's all.
You're scared, Don.
Scared? Of what?
Of murder.
It's not a very pleasant item to live with.
Unless you know how to use it.
You do, I suppose.
Definitely. You saw the notice in the paper. Greenleaf died of heart disease. So certified, period.
It's too easy. I don't like it. I am scared, Lucy. Look at the month now. Why don't we close up here and go to some other town?
Don't try to quit, Don. You're in as deep as any of us.
I'm not quitting.
Let me show you how this is going to work. Another 3 months, we'll have enough to retire.
Another 3 months, then 3 months more. Will you ever have enough, Lucy?
I've brains enough to know when the cows have been milked dry.
I hope so.
Up to now, Louise has paid for silence with cash. Watch this. Louise Appleton is about to extend the area of her cooperation.
Hello?
Louise? This is Lucy.
Oh, yes.
Are you alone, dear?
Yes, I'm alone.
Then you can talk.
What do you want? I paid this week.
My boys are idle. And idleness breeds mischief, doesn't it?
Yes, I suppose it does.
I want them to keep busy.
You know I can't be seen with them.
But your friends can.
I can't do
But you will.
I won't trap anyone as I trapped poor
But
Helen.
you will.
I won't.
You leave no alternative but to call your husband. A word, Louise, about your dates with Donald. A hint of embroidery. Need I say more? Well, Louise?
What do you want?
I want you to recommend us to your friends. You know the qualifications. Wealth, that little wish to feel wicked again that brought you to us. And, of course, at least one vulnerable spot, a husband, social position, professional status. You're familiar with all that, I know.
Well, I can't guarantee.
Oh, but you can. In fact, you have, haven't you, Louise, dear? You're going to have some new customers for me before the week is out. Aren't you, dear?
You're Lucy Mayview?
Yes. You're Mrs. Parnell?
Marna Parnell. Louise Appleton.
Thank you. Yes, of course, I remember. Well, sit down.
Thank you. You're younger than I expected.
Perhaps that helps me understand the position of ladies like yourself.
Louise implied something like that. I hardly know where to start.
Well, it's not usual for ladies to come here. They prefer to telephone.
I buy content, not wrapping.
And you prefer to see what you're getting?
Oh, getting into. I gather from Louise that you're a very clever young woman.
Thank her for this. I trust you will have the same feeling.
I hope so, Miss Mayview. Louise mentioned a young man with whom she'd gone out occasionally. A Donald Williams.
Oh, yes. She seems to enjoy his company. Would you like to meet Don?
If he's here. I have a meeting of the Milk Fund Committee in a short time. I'm chairman this year.
Oh, are you? How nice. Excuse me a moment. Don, will you come in a moment?
Yes?
Mrs. Parnell would like to meet you.
Of course, Miss Mayfield. How do you do, Mrs. Parnell?
How do you do?
Donald, Mrs. Parnell was sent to us by Louise Appleton, remember?
Oh, of course. Charming woman, Mrs. Appleton.
She spoke highly of you, Mr. Williams. I must say you impressed me, if first impressions mean anything.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Parnell.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that. I think they do in this business. Now then, shall we arrange a date for you two? For tonight, shall we say? Never waste time is our motto, you know, Mrs. Parnell.
I don't like it, Lucy. It smells like a double cross someplace.
An odor, Len, with which you ought to be familiar.
All right, don't rub it in. You can't blame a fella for trying once.
But I can remember he tried.
All right, I still don't like it. Don's been going out with that Parnell dame for a month now, and he's got nothing on her we can use yet.
Patience is the foundation of profit in this business.
In this racket.
I prefer the word business. Len, what's eating you?
Oh, I've seen them in places, on jobs that I've had for you. She never wears an evening gown.
Perhaps she doesn't like them.
A dame with her figure?
Why does that make you suspicious?
Because it doesn't fit the picture. That dame doesn't look or act or talk like the kind of dizzy characters we usually get, and smart dames don't need us.
You're imagining things, Len.
Not me. I know this business. That dame isn't on the level.
Feel better if I check?
Why not?
All right.
Who?
Louise. If there's anything wrong, she'll score.
Hello?
Louise? This is Lucy.
Yes.
What do you know about Marna Parnell?
What everyone knows. Chairman of the Milk Fund, a very nice-looking...
Oh, stop it. Oh, you known her?
Why, years and years. Yes, years and years.
Go to school together?
Yes, that's it. We went to Miss Drew's together years ago. It's a very exclusive school. Only girls, the very best family. We had some wonderful times together. We really did.
I don't think you knew her 2 months ago.
You mean when...
When Greenleaf got hers, that's exactly what I mean.
Lucy, how can you
Oh,
imply...
save it, Louise, until you get to my office.
But I can't.
You'll come. I'm sending Leonard for you in my car. You'll come at once. Go get her, Len.
Oh, what do you want her for?
She's a rotten liar, and you may have hit on something. Get Appleton.
Bring her back here?
Here? In the hotel? Obviously not. If Louise needs a going over, she'll get it at my apartment. Take my car. And if she needs persuading, I'll leave that entirely up to you, Romeo.
This is your office, Lucy?
I prefer to bring my closest associates to my home.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
Why did you lie, Louise? That isn't healthy.
Lie? When did
you
I
never
lie?
went to school with that Parnell woman?
Oh, well, I said the first thing that came into my head, I guess.
We don't trust dimwits like that, do we, Len?
No, we don't.
And we don't care for them in our organization.
That's definite.
Well, then let me go. I swear I'll never breathe a word.
Until it becomes the first thing that pops into your head? No, Louise. No one leaves our organization.
It's a life membership. Once in, you stay in until you die.
Quite simple. Who's Marna Parnell? And this time, the truth.
Well, I met her at a milk fund meeting. She's the chairman.
Why did you send her to me?
She seemed lonely.
Len, what's your impression?
But Marna's always gone out with Don.
Shut up. Len's seen them together. Len?
They were lonely in her life.
Oh, I don't believe it. Why, she told me...
Told you what?
Well, that she'd never had a date.
This one's lying again, Len. What do you suggest?
A small refresher course in the truth along the lines of what she saw her friend Greenleaf
Don't
get.
you touch me. You keep away from me.
Hold her, Len. Let her yell. No one will hear her.
A pleasure, Lucy. Sit still. You...
I don't care. I don't care anymore. I can't live like this. Tell me, do what you want. I will talk. I won't talk.
She's brave, isn't she, Len? What'll it be? The usual? Or something special?
Make it fast, that's all. There's something with that Parnell dame, but...
All right. Open up in there. Open it.
Help! Please! Help!
Sounds like it.
The name's Willis. Homicide. Here's the warrant.
Lies, all of it.
How do you know until you've read it, Mayview?
Oh, Mrs. Parnell. Mrs. Parnell.
You dirty, double-crossing...
The dame's a lady cop. I told you, Lucy.
Both of you for the judge. Thanks for tailing them so well, Lieutenant.
You can't make the charge stick. You've got no witnesses except this woman.
Haven't we? When your boy Williams is down at the station house saving his skin with his wagging tongue. Look, Maeve, you get this. Mrs. Appleton came to us with her story in confidence after she confessed to her husband. So we played along until Williams was willing to talk. You're going to find out the hard way, Mayview, that fleecing silly women may be a misdemeanor, but burglary, blackmail, and murder are something else entirely.
Crime does not pay.
Mary Wicks, who was starred as Lucy Mayview in Escort for Hire, will be back with you in just a moment. Now, here in person is Mary Wicks.
It's true that Lucy was clever, but like the vast majority of lawbreakers, not quite clever enough. Now, Lucy represents the type of criminal which lies in wait for the respectable citizen who contributes to crime by wanting to feel just a touch wicked. You'll find her type in any of several dozen activities, from escort bureaus to illegal gambling and back again. All these activities tempt by their daring and by their seeming harmlessness, but inevitably they lead to grief like Louise. And while the criminals involved are almost always caught, the fact remains that in the final analysis, for everyone concerned, crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Wicks. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gard. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. Henry Francis Grady is a name which symbolizes the strength and prestige of the United States to the people of India, Greece, and Iran. For Dr. Grady has been our ambassador to each of these countries. To the people of his native San Francisco, his name calls to mind a long record of leadership in business and community affairs. To those who know him best, the name of Henry Francis Grady means a man of unusual integrity, sympathy, and understanding. Now he states his creed.
One lives as one believes, and believes as one lives. Even though what he believes may not be clearly formulated, the convictions are there. I have tested this on many occasions, both with regard to myself and others. I was standing on the porch of my residence in New Delhi at midnight several years ago, when the race riots were at their height. Furious Sikhs and Hindus had killed thousands of Mohammedans in Delhi alone, in revenge for the Sikhs and Hindus the Mohammedans had killed in the north. Most of our servants were Mohammedans, including my head boy Shakur, who was standing next to me on the porch. The rioters were only a few blocks away. A British businessman drove up on a motorcycle and pleaded that I send my station wagon to rescue his Mohammedan servants. I asked Shakur if he was willing to drive the station wagon and save these terror-stricken people. He quietly said yes and jumped into the driver's seat and was off. Since he and my station wagon were all known to the leaders of the rioters, the risks he took were great. A few hours later, the rioters came to the Britishers' residence and demanded that the servants be turned over to them, but they had been taken to a place of safety by Shakur. His reaction to the situation demonstrated his character and courage. You are a better man than I, Gunga Din. General George Marshall once told me that he would not write his memoirs because if he did, he'd spoil too many reputations. He reacted to what he regarded as decency and self-restraint rather than to profits. I have seen simple Greek men and women refuse to bow to their brutal German conquerors, even though their defiance meant serious bodily injury. I have seen young Greek soldiers charge up a ridge, strewn with landmines which could maim them for life, to drive out those who sought to destroy their country and their people. What they believed made them act nobly. These are some of the positive things which have gone to make up my belief. There have also been things which I have reacted against, and these, too, have had a lot to do with what I believe. Since my early youth, snobbery, intolerance, and bigotry have been abhorrent to me. As a child in a large Catholic family, I was deeply aware of the efforts of the APA to deprive my father of livelihood because of our religion. The lynching of Negroes or discrimination against them, the persecution of Jews or discrimination against them, early awakened in me a resentment which affected my whole attitude toward my fellow men. What I believe has thus grown out of early teaching and example in my home, the precepts of my religion, and the experience of a life which has now reached 70. So embracive is this that it covers everything which goes to make up the good life. The Sermon on the Mount, love thy neighbor as thyself, we are brothers under the skin. The teachings of every great religious leader all stress one fundamental principle of human behavior. This I believe.
That was Dr. Henry Grady, ex-diplomat, who is now serving his community as president of the San Francisco Federated Fund.
Calling all detectives. Most people consider golf a reasonably mild pastime. But I once had a case where a game of golf killed one person and convicted a second. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. There's one thing I, Jerry Browning, private detective, am sure about. You can't play with the idea of murder. It's a losing game. Hank Foster and I were on the practice green at swanky Silver Oaks Country Club, waiting our turn at the number 1 tee.
Sorry we have to wait, Jerry. Big turnout today.
There was a rumpus going on at the number 1 tee. Hank scowled. That's R.J. Walker kicking up a fuss again. Every club has one old crab like that. R.J. Walker was a genuine business tycoon, and I don't get to see people like that close up very often. I strolled over to the tee just as...
I won't have this caddy. He's stupid, lazy, and steals golf balls.
The caddy was a nice-looking youngster. At the moment, mad clean through. He flung Walker's golf bag on the ground and stalked off. Walker fumed some more, but just then Hank came up to me. Come on, Jerry. The caddy master's signaling. Let's tee off. Right from the start, I played poorly. I was pressing, and the harder I tried, the wilder I got. Finally, on the 13th hole, I hit a screaming slice far into the rough. Both the caddy and I prowled the thick undergrowth in the rough. We didn't locate the ball, but we did find the lifeless body of R.J. Walker. Invited to play golf at a swanky country club, I hit a ball into the rough and found the body of wealthy, cantankerous R.J. Walker. Back at the clubhouse, a doctor diagnosed the death as instantaneous and resulting from
a sudden severe blow on the head. In my opinion, Mr. Walker was hit by a golf ball.
My friend Hank looked at me. So did my caddy. I knew what they were thinking, that it was the ball I hit into the rough that killed Walker. Well, maybe it was. I walked over to the body, took a good look at it. Hey, doctor, come over a second. Look at these skin abrasions and the depth of the wound. If Walker was killed by a golf ball, it must have been shot from a cannon to hit with such force. In my opinion, this was no accident. It was murder. I walked outside and almost ran into the caddy master. He was arguing with a tall man who had a golf bag slung over his shoulder.
I'm very sorry, sir, but this is a private club. When the Greens chairman reported that you didn't appear to be sponsored, it was my duty to question you.
But I tell you I'm the guest of R.J. Walker. If you'll call him, he'll identify me.
Isn't he likely to do that, sir? What is your name? And why didn't Mr. Walker sign you in on the guest book?
The tall man set down his golf bag, mopped his brow.
This is ridiculous. I'm Roger Powell. I'm in the same business as Mr. Walker, cotton milling. He invited me here to discuss a possible merger of our companies. I joined him at the 11th tee. We played 2 holes, then I lost my ball and got separated from him. If you ask him, I know he'll confirm it.
The caddy master looked unhappy.
I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Walker is dead. An accident.
Powell looked stunned. Then, without another word, picked up his golf bag and slowly walked away. I watched him go. Something about the man puzzled me. The story he'd told was straight enough, but some obscure mental impulse kept nudging me, warning of a false note. And then suddenly I had it. I found my friend Hank Foster in the clubhouse. Hank, do you know a man named Roger Powell?
My father knows him. Why?
He's outside, getting ready to leave. We've got to stop him, get him into a game of golf with us. Don't ask questions, just hurry. We caught up with Powell just as he was about to step into his car. His golf bag was propped against the fender, and I pretended to trip over it. Powell dived for the bag, recovered it, and stood glaring at me. I'm very sorry, sir. Entirely my fault. Powell nodded curtly and started to get into the car again when Hank stepped up.
Aren't you Roger Powell?
Powell turned.
Yes, I am. Why?
I'm Hank Foster. My father does a lot of business with your company.
Powell gave him a frosty smile. I put my hand on the car door, held it closed. Hank and I heard about your discussion with the caddy master, Mr. Powell. We don't want you to think that folks at Silver Oaks are rude to guests. In fact, we'd like you to play a round of golf with us. Powell obviously didn't want to do it, but Hank, taking his cue from me, was insistent. Finally,
well, I don't have time for a full round, but if you insist, I'll play a couple of holes.
I led off, hit one straight and clean down the fairway, now that I wasn't interested in how well I played. Then Powell teed up, with his bag still swinging from his shoulder. That was strange enough, but when he pulled a number 5 iron out of the bag...
Mr. Powell, you don't really drive with that, do you?
Powell was badly flustered.
I always thought I'd like to try driving with this kind of a club.
Hank didn't get it. And with a bag over your shoulder? Powell shook his head, took a wild swing at the ball, and didn't even hit the ground. That's when I stepped up. It's no use, Powell. You can't bluff it. You may as well admit you've never played golf before. I think I'd better see what you've got in that golf bag. He put up a fight, but he didn't have a chance. While Hank held him, I looked through the bag and found the murder weapon. An iron club with a steel ball approximately the size of a golf ball attached to the end of it. He confessed after that. Tough old R.J. Walker had been ruining him. So Powell eliminated the competition. The hard way. After we turned him over to the police, Hank and I finished our game. I was playing rotten again, now that it counted. Hank watched my hook go into a sand trap, shook his head. You sure are a terrible player, Jerry. Is that why you suspected Powell couldn't play at all? I smiled, shook my head. Nope. He was wearing ordinary street shoes with a pointed toe. And I figured no golf player, not even the worst duffer, would appear on a course in shoes like that. And that's all there was to it, aside from the fact that Hank beat me on every hole. Like I said, a lot of people play with the idea of murder. But those who carry it out are generally left holding the bag. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives, mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, private detective.
Murder at midnight.
So you're dropping a chicken, huh? Hey, guys. Yeah? What do you know? Chicken's turning out to be a rooster all of a sudden. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Cock-a-doodle.
In case anybody here is interested, from here on in, the name is just plain Charlie Nix.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Trigger Man. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's foremost mystery writers. Our story, written by Max Ehrlich, is different from any of the other tales you have heard in this program. Its mystery is not that of the supernatural, but of the unknown quantities in the human soul. And so, because it has suspense and complete credibility, we give you Trigger Man.
Is that the door? No. No, not yet. Not that it matters. You can't get very far with a slug in your guts. But I can sit here. And when I come through that door, I'll show him what Chicken Charlie Nix can do with a gun. Sure. Maybe it'll be for the last time. But what can I lose now? It's funny how it all comes back to you in the end. Just a year and a half ago that it all started. But I remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing back in the doorway waiting for some sucker to come along. It was down at the waterfront and it was plenty dark. I stood there, the rod cold in my hand, waiting. Finally, I heard footsteps. A man and a woman. I waited until they were almost opposite the doorway, and then... Hey, buddy. Got a match?
Why, yes, I think so.
Never mind. Get your dukes up.
Tell him he's got a gun.
Oh, stick up, huh?
Aren't you smart, sucker? Come on, reach. Get those hands up before I let you have it. There. It's better. Okay, lady, let's begin with you.
What's all right?
Hand over that purse.
Better do as he says, Ann.
All right, Tom.
Thanks, lady. Thanks very much. Okay, buddy, let's have your wallet. I said come across with your wallet.
Not tonight, chicken.
What do you mean? Hey, wait a minute. How come you know my name?
It's my job to know it. And your face, too. The name's Riley. From headquarters.
Tom Riley. Plainclothes.
Yeah.
Keep up those hands. Keep them up or I'll drill you.
I know you won't, chicken.
Tom.
Not for a lot more than I've got in my wallet.
Tom, what are you doing? He'll kill you.
I don't think he will. Will you, chicken?
Keep away from me, Flatfoot. Don't come a step nearer, you hear? Another step and I'll splatter you all over the sidewalk.
You haven't got the nerve, chicken. You know it and I know it. Now, drop that gun.
Keep away, do you hear? I ain't afraid to shoot. I'll tell you, I'll let you have it.
And what are you waiting for?
Wait,
that was for the gun, chicken. And this is for you.
No.
Hold me up. No, you yellow belly rat. Pull the gun on me, will you?
Oh, Tom.
It's okay, Ann. It's all over.
You could have been killed. Walking straight into a hold-up man and knocking the gun out of his hand.
Well, I knew he wouldn't shoot, Ann.
You know? But how?
His name is Charlie Nix. Chicken Charlie. Oh, he carries a gun, yeah, but he's not a gunman. Because he's never used it and he never will. Just plain chicken-hearted. Yellow. That's why they call him Chicken.
Still, you took an awful chance, Tom. There's always the first time.
Not for Chicken Charlie. Now, then, you see if you can find a phone, honey, and call headquarters while I keep an eye on this yellow skunk here.
Yeah, that's the way it was. I just didn't have the nerve to put the blast on anyone. Sometimes in my room, I'd put my gun on the table and just look at it. I'd keep thinking, if I only had the nerve, I'd be one of Angelo Danelli's triggermen instead of his errand boy. The rest of the mob would respect me instead of slapping me around and calling me Chicken. That's what got me more than anything else, the way they laughed and called me Chicken. It wasn't that I didn't try. That time I held up Riley, I was going to let him have it. I wanted to, but I don't know, at the last minute I got all cold inside. My fingers got stiff and numb. And it cost me a year in a pen. The day after I got out, I was sitting in the Boulevard Cafe, having myself a beer, when in walked the boss, Angie Danelli.
It's great having you back, Chicken.
Thanks, Angie. Thanks.
By the way, I saw an old pal of yours the other day.
Yeah? Who?
Tom Riley.
Riley, huh?
Yeah, it's too bad you didn't knock him off that night, Chicken.
Yeah. But one of these days, Angie, I'm going to meet him, and then I'll...
Oh, kid, I know how you feel. After all, when a guy takes your gun away, it makes you look like a chum.
Yeah, he made me look like a chump, all right. But I'm different now, Angie. That year in a clink, well, I got a different kind of nerve now. Wait and see.
Sure, but take it easy, kid. There's plenty of time, plenty. You just got out of stir, and you got yourself to worry about.
What do you mean, Angie? I did my time tonight? I'm in the clear?
Sure, Chicken, sure. But if you ask me, the pen didn't do you any good. You look kind of all in. You don't feel so good, do you?
What makes you say that, Angie?
Oh, I don't know. Your face ain't got any color and you're breathing hard all the time.
Well, I feel okay.
Sure. I ain't saying anything's wrong with you, Chicken. But you never can tell until a good doc checks you over, huh?
Yeah. Maybe you're right, Angie. Maybe I ought to see a doctor, huh?
Now you're talking sense, kid. Tell you what I'll do. I'll take you to my own doctor, Dr. Leonard. He's a big specialist, and he'll give you the once-over right.
Yeah, but he probably comes high. And
Forget it, Chicken, forget it. I'll take care of it. Won't cost you a dime.
Hey, that's pretty white of me, Angie.
Think nothing of it, kid. After all, you're one of my boys, ain't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Well, if there's one thing Angie Donnelly does, it's to take care of his boys.
A couple of days later, Angie Donnelly set up an appointment for me with this Dr. Leonard. I went to his office and he gave me a real checkup from soup to nuts. And when he got through, I didn't like the look on his face.
Sit down, Mr. Nix, and let's talk.
Doc, what's the matter? Did you find something wrong?
Care for a cigarette?
Never mind the stolen, Doc. Give it to me straight. Is it good or bad?
I'm sorry, but it's bad.
You mean my chest?
It isn't your chest. It's your heart.
My heart? What about it?
You've got a severe aneurysm there.
A what? What's that mean?
Yeah, it means that you've got a serious weakness of the heart muscle wall.
Yeah, but how serious?
I'm sorry, Mr. Nix, but you haven't got more than 6 months to live.
6 months? Yeah, that's what he said. 6 months to live. For a while I didn't get it. You don't get things like that right away. And then 6 months, and he gave me 6 months to live. Someday I'll be just walking along and maybe sleeping, and then it'll come.
It's tough, chicken. Plenty tough. Yeah. I know how you feel.
Nobody knows how I feel. Except maybe a guy in a death house. Yeah, that's what it's like. Like knowing when you're going to burn, waiting for it.
Take it easy, chicken. Yeah. Have another drink, huh?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Angie. You're okay.
Maybe the doc was wrong. There's always a chance.
No, Angie. Check me twice just to make sure. There ain't a thing I can do, not a thing except wait for it. Just sit around and wait to croak.
Listen, kid. You've got 6 months to live. Okay. You know what I'd do if I had 6 months to live?
What? What would you do?
I'd live. Huh? Yeah, I'd spend all my time living. Champagne, dames, I'd have them all. I'd do all the things I ever wanted to do but didn't have the nerve to do before. You see what I mean, kid? I'd live a lifetime in 6 months.
Sure, but that takes dough.
You can get the dough?
How?
From me.
Huh?
Look, chicken. You always wanted to be a trigger man, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hiring you right here and now. At $500 a week.
500? But, Angie, you know I ain't got the nerve.
Sure you have, but it's different now. You don't have to be afraid of a thing. Not a thing. Well, you can go around blasting guys like clay pigeons if you want to.
But suppose the cops nail me.
What do you care? Suppose they send you to the death house. You got nothing to lose anyway, have you? Your heart's bad, ain't it? You've only got a little while anyway, either way.
Yeah. That's right, Angie. That's right. What can I lose? Donnelly was right. This was my chance. I packed a new gap and started to look for Riley. Riley, the dick who'd set me up. Yeah. He was going to be number one.
He'll be coming along here any minute, kid.
Yeah.
This is it, chicken. There's Riley. There he is. No, chicken, not yet. Wait, he comes closer.
Look, Angie,
Hey, first one that comes hardest, kid. The rest are easy. Look at him, pal. He knows from nothing. Take your beat on him. You can't miss. Okay, chicken, go ahead. Let him have it. Go ahead. Blast him. You did it.
Check. Yeah, I guess I did it.
Flat on the sidewalk, colder than yesterday's hash. You did it, Charlie.
Angie, You just called me Charlie.
Sure, kid, why not? You're not chicken anymore. Now, maybe we better get out of here.
A car roars away up the street, leaving the body lying there in a pool of blood. As the clock strikes 12 for
murder at midnight.
back to Murder at Midnight, to the story of Triggerman.
Where are they anyway? Getting kind of anxious to see them. Even with a slug in my gut, I'll be able to give them quite a reception. Funny how a guy can change. How different it's all been since I put the blast on Riley. That was my first and the toughest one. After that, it was easy. There were plenty of guys in Angie Dinelli's way, and I aimed to please. Whenever I watched one of them fold up with that funny expression on his face, why, it kind of helped. It helped me to forget how it was with me. It was like a champagne drunk. But then the hangover would come, and I'd remember that I had less than 6 months to live myself. Yeah, I was a different guy, all right. Take what happened a couple of days after I got Riley. We was having a meeting up at the Hideaway on a new job when a character named Bummy Devine started shooting his mouth off.
Hey, Chicken. Still carrying around that pop gun of yours?
What did you call me?
Chicken. Ain't that your name?
The name is Charlie. Charlie Nix.
Hey, guys. Yeah? What do you know? Chicken's turning out to be a rooster all of a sudden. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Cock-a-doodle.
In case anybody else here is interested, the name from here in is just plain Charlie Nix. They didn't laugh after that. No one did again, ever. I was it. I took chances where no other trigger man would. Why not? What'd I have to lose? A few months, I'd be through anyway. There was a difference. Meanwhile, I lived. I painted the town red, bought myself tailored suits, hit the clubs every night, the gambling joints. And the dames, why, I had to fight them off. You can do a lot with $500 a week. Sure, I was hot, plenty hot. The cops couldn't figure out at the beginning who was doing all the fancy gun work, but they were getting warm, and they were getting close. I had to watch myself. And then one night, we were knocking off a fur warehouse. I was in the lookout car out front when suddenly...
Hey, Charlie, a prowl car.
Yeah, come on, Mike. Let's get out of here.
They're shooting at us. Tommy guns. Hang on, Charlie.
Here they come right after us. Hold it steady, Mike. I'm going to try to nail a tire.
Oh! Hey, Charlie, what's the matter?
I'm hit. Keep going, Mike. Got a ditch him. When I opened my eyes, there was a smell of chloroform, and the doctor was just putting away some instruments. Mike was there, too, with a gat in his hand, making sure that the doc would cooperate.
Hello, Charlie. How do you feel?
I don't know. What happened?
The doc here just dug a slug out of your chest.
Oh. How am I doing, Doc?
You'll be all right. Lucky you've got a good heart. Otherwise, you'd never have made it.
What? Did you say my heart was good?
That's right.
But I don't get it. I thought I had a bad tick. They told me I didn't have more than a few months to live.
With that heart, my friend, you can live to be 100. That is, if the police don't interfere.
I spent 3 weeks laid up after that, in bed. And every day the boss would send me flowers, comic books, and all kinds of stuff. A real thoughtful guy, Angie. But I was thoughtful, too. There were some things I had to add up for myself. I had to find out whether I was living on borrowed time or not. As soon as I could walk, I made a beeline for Angie Dinelli's specialist, Doc Leonard. But I found out right away that Doc Leonard didn't live there anymore. A dentist was in the office instead. Then I looked up the superintendent.
Yes, I'm in charge here. What can I do for you? If it's about
It isn't. I'm looking for Dr. Leonard.
Dr. Leonard? Oh, the one that was in the dentist's office before.
That's right. You know where he went?
No, he didn't leave any forwarding address. It's a funny thing about him.
Yeah? What?
Why, he paid us a month's rent in advance and moved in, equipment and everything. But he only stayed 2 days. Moved out at night. No notice, nothing. Just came and went.
I see.
Never could figure it out. That's the way it was. Sorry, I couldn't be of more help, mister.
That's okay. You've told me enough. All I want to know. So that was it. I had the answer. I went home, took my old gun out of the drawer, slipped it into my shoulder holster. Felt good there. Just like old times. I was just putting on my hat and coat when the phone rang. Hello.
Hello, Charlie. How do you feel?
Fine, Angie, fine. Funny thing you calling up just now.
Yeah, why?
I was just thinking of you. Where are you now?
I'm over at my apartment. Listen, kid, do you feel well enough to do a little jog for me tonight?
I feel fine, fine.
That's swell. Drop over to my place right away.
Okay, I'll be right over. And, Angie.
Yeah?
Thanks for everything. The flowers and stuff.
Forget it, kid. What's a pal for, anyway?
Funny how a guy acts sometimes. I remember in the cab on the way over, I was like ice, cold inside and out. I should have been excited, but I wasn't. I came up to Angie's apartment and knocked on the door.
Yeah, who is it?
Me, Charlie.
Oh, okay. Morning, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, you're up and around, huh, kid? That's great, great.
Yep, not that it makes much difference. You see, Angie, my 6 months is supposed to be up tomorrow.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And you know something, Angie? I feel fine, fine. And yet, I'm supposed to croak.
Well, it's just like I said, kid. Maybe Doc Leonard was wrong.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe he was wrong, made a mistake.
Sure.
So, this afternoon, I went up to see him.
You did, huh?
Yeah. And you know what, Angie? He doesn't live there anymore.
No.
In fact, he only set up practice there a couple of days. Kind of set me to wondering.
Uh-huh. Wondering, what?
Whether this Doc Leonard wasn't a doctor after all, but just a phony.
I don't get it. Why should he be?
Suppose you tell me, Angie.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh? And suppose I tell you, Angie. This Doc Leonard was your boy. Between you framed me with this bad heart gag. You needed a gunster who could take chances, and I was your pigeon.
Wait a minute, Charlie.
It was easy, wasn't it, then, Ellie? Talking a chump like me into it. When I thought I only had 6 months to go. You knew I wouldn't be afraid anymore. Sure. What could I lose? And so you got me to do your dirty work for you while you were somewhere else with an airtight alibi. And when the heat was turned on, you knew it'd be on me.
You're wrong, kid. You see, you were supposed to live 6 months. And that's all you're going to live.
Don't do any reaching, Angie. Don't! You taught me how to use a gun, Angie. You should have just let me stay Chicken Charlie Nix. Yeah, he got me in the belly with his first one. But I got him before he could repeat. There he is, lying on his own rug, soaking in his blood. As for me, well, there ain't much I can do but wait. Somebody must have heard the shots, called the cops. Funny how I feel now, how different it is. When you think of it, if I'd stayed Chicken Charlie, I wouldn't be here now with a slug in my guts. Like the doc said, I could have lived to be maybe 100.
Well, if it ain't old Chicken Charlie.
Hello, copper. What did you call me?
Why, we've been looking all over for you, chicken, but it looks like somebody saved the state some dough.
Not yet. I've still got enough stuff to... Stay where you are. Don't come any closer, you hear?
No? Why not, chicken?
Because I'm a killer, that's why. Because I got nothing to live for anyway. Keep away from me, you hear? Keep away or...
Oh, what? Give me that rod.
Stop, you
Sure I can, punk. Once a chicken, always a chicken.
His eyes wide and incredulous, the hunched figure slips from the deep armchair, falls to the floor, next to the body of the man he killed. And somewhere in the distance, a clock in a church steeple starts chiming for
Murder at midnight.
Remember to be with us again when death is our unseen guest, and the clocks strike 12 for
Murder at midnight.
The part of Chicken Charlie Nix was played by Bill Quinn. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight is directed by Anton M. Leader.
This I believe. Henry Ward started in life as a newspaperman. He worked as a cub reporter at the same desk that Irvin S. Cobb had used on the Paducah News-Democrat. His outstanding interest in civic affairs, however, soon propelled him into politics. As Kentucky representative, senator, and in his present post as Commissioner of Conservation, he has taken a leading part in the preservation of his native state's natural resources. Here is Henry Ward's creed.
The most important thing in life to me is the ability to say with complete sincerity, "This I believe." Life without belief would be a life empty of meaning, dreary and disillusioning. I must have things to believe in, and it is most gratifying to me, and my life is made easier because I have many things in which I do believe. I believe that there is a certain pattern for life, intricately designed by God who is just, and so there is no necessity that I understand everything. It is enough that I have faith in the rightness of the pattern that has been set for us. I do not mean by this that I believe my life has been so predestined that there is nothing I can do to influence its course. If I follow what I know are the proper courses, the inevitable results that come from rightness will bring fulfillment and satisfaction to me. But faith in the rightness of God alone is not enough. The most miserable man I know is the one who believes that every other man is a liar and every woman is a cheat. I must have a measure of faith in my fellow man if I am to have a full life. A statement made by Vice President Barkley impressed me deeply. In our form of government, he said, the people I have tried to represent have had to put their trust in me. By the same token, I have had to put my trust in others. A willingness to put my trust in others is important to me. I have served with hundreds of persons in legislative bodies and in governmental offices over a period of 20 years, and I can count on the fingers of my hands the ones that I could not trust. All of my adult life I have been engaged in activities which have served the public, first as a newspaper man, then a state legislator and a public official. I make no claim that I have dedicated myself to the public good. There has been satisfaction to me in my activities, but that satisfaction could not have come if I had not been moved by deep conviction that every individual has an inherent right to an opportunity to earn a richer life. We like to speak of the right of every person to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but we delude ourselves if we do not recognize that modern society has made the achievement of that right an uphill battle. Therefore, I find myself cheering when those who struggle and pursue organize themselves to gain their strength through unity. And I have faith in their right to do for themselves collectively, through their government, what they cannot do for themselves as individuals. Finally, I honestly believe that honesty is the best policy. There are rewards for the man who does an honest day's work. Honesty pays in business, and sheer, unadulterated honesty in personal dealings will pay dividends. I suppose that I really am saying that I have a high respect for old-fashioned honor. It's a great virtue. All of these things I believe, and I am glad that I do.
That was Henry Ward of Frankfort, Kentucky. He is State Commissioner of Conservation.
The Linux Show, starring Nick Carter, Master Detective, presented by Acme, America's great producer of fine quality paints. This is the story of a man known the world over as one of the most daring and resourceful characters in the history of detective fiction. A man whose name has become a symbol of the triumph of right and justice over the sinister forces of crime and lawlessness. A man recognized as one of the great masters of deduction. Nick Carter, Master Detective. Today's exciting case, The Sixth Statue. Another exciting chapter dramatized from the life story of Nick Carter. In just a moment, we'll hear how Nick Carter investigated a strange plague called Bronze disease that murdered 2 people and almost killed a third. And now for today's exciting case from the life of Nick Carter. The regular morning work in the old brownstone mansion at the corner of 5th and 4th begins with Nick's voluminous correspondence. Scores of letters arrive every day. Official, semi-official, friendly, threatening. And every once in a while, a strange note arrives, like the one Patsy is reading to Nick now.
Dear Mr. Nick Carter, you are a famous detective and would not know me as I am only a housemaid. Oh, this writing is terrible. But I have heard you will always help people if they are in trouble, so I am taking the liberty to ask you, would you help me? Mr. Carter, there is bad trouble in the house where I work. Mr. Horace Allen's house on Park Avenue. There is plague in the house. A bad sickness, and I think we will all die. The statues got sick first, and I know we will get it next. Please come and tell me what I should do. Enclosed, please find money order to pay for your trouble. Yours truly, Maisie Leeds.
For the love of Pete.
Oh, I really think this is touching, Nick. Look, here's the money order, $5 whole.
Generous fee, considering Miss Leeds probably earns only $20 a week. Wish you hadn't sent it. Let's see that letter, Betsy.
Here. Horace Allen. What? That's the famous ex-meat packer, isn't it? 1270 Park. Very rich.
Yes. Letter mailed last night. Written in a great deal of hurry. Notice the ink blots?
Mm.
Miss Leeds seems rather frightened.
Well, what's all this about plague?
Now, here's the key line. Statues got sick first, and I know we will get it next.
Statues got sick. But what's that mean?
I think we better drive to 1270 Park and find out.
Right now? Oh, can't it wait a few minutes, Nick? We've got so much work to do here, and, well, Miss Maisie Leeds' trouble is probably a very vivid imagination.
You've forgotten I've been paid a retainer, Patsy. I'm now devoted to the interest of my client. Let's go see Maisie, even if we have to go in through the servants' entrance.
This is a pretty swank mansion for an ex-meat packer, Nick.
Yes. Heard Mr. Allen's turned to art in his retirement. He collects.
Oh, I wish you'd go back to meat packing for the duration. You can't eat statues and packers.
Very funny. No one home.
Should be servants in the house.
Don't seem to be.
Oh, Nick, you're not going...
Don't have to. The door's been left ajar. Come on.
Oh, Nick, this isn't right.
I've got a treat to earn, Patsy. Come on in. Besides, it's rather unusual for a collector of art to leave the house door open when there's no one home. Oh, there's the library. Let's go in.
Oh, golly. Plenty of stuff here. Paintings, statues. Nick, look at those statues. The bronze ones.
Yes.
They're all greenish and crusted. Like they've got some kind of skin disease.
Those bronze spears, too. And this bronze chest. Wonder how it looks inside.
Maybe this... Nick.
Yes. Looks as if the plague has killed our client. As I'm very much mistaken, this body in the chest is that of Maisie Leeds.
I've been through most of the house, Nick. There isn't a soul around. What's happened anyway?
Don't know yet.
Learn anything from the body?
Maisie Leeds, all right. Dead about 10 hours. She must have been strangled and placed in this chest just after she mailed that letter to me.
Oh.
Patsy, there's an odd thing about this murder. Looks as if the killer had silver polish in his hands.
Silver polish?
Yes, there's a kind of white powder on Maisie's neck around the strangulation prints. Smells like silver polish.
And, Nicky, you'd better notify the police.
No.
Why not?
Listen, Patsy. Maisie Leeds paid me $5 to take on her case. I didn't get her soon enough to save her life, but I am going to get a killer. This is a point of honor. Something Sergeant Matheson wouldn't understand.
What do you suggest here? Don't move, either of you.
I'd suggest you put that gun away. You might hurt someone.
Answer my question. What are you doing in here? Who are you?
I'm Nick Carter. This is my secretary, Patsy Bowen.
Nick Carter?
Yes?
Well, I'm Peter Craig, Horace Allen's nephew. I was up on the top floor, heard someone calling down here.
That was me.
So I came down. What's the matter, Mr. Carter?
Look in the bronze chest.
Good grief, Maisie.
All right, Craig, I want some quick answers from you. Why was the house empty when we arrived? Where's your uncle? Where are the servants?
Well, there aren't any servants. They all quit yesterday, except Maisie here. Uncle Horace rushed down to the employment agency this morning. That's why I'm alone in the house.
I see. But you didn't see Maisie Leeds this morning?
No, I generally stay in my rooms on the top floor. Uncle Horace just yelled up that he was going to the agency.
What agency?
The Sun Agency on Vanderbilt Street.
One more question, Craig. You know anything about bronze statues?
No.
Who sold these to your uncle?
St. John Arrowfield, English dealer at the plaza.
All right. You stay here. Try and locate your uncle on the phone and get him home. We're hustling over to see Arrowfield. I want to find out what 6 statues have got to do with murder.
Believe me, Mr. Carter, that man Allen is an idiot, a fool, an artistic criminal. I should never have sold rare pieces to an ex-meat packer.
Go on.
Antique bronzes are as delicate as tropical fruits. Unless they're cared for with delicacy and understanding, they sicken.
You mean statues can really become sick?
Yes, and die. Bronze disease is a corrosion that eats away the metal, rots it until it crumbles. No one knows how it starts. No one knows how to stop it. Once it attacks a collection, the infected pieces must be removed, or the entire collection will die.
Golly.
And bronze disease has attacked Allen's collection?
You saw it, didn't you? The green, crumbling crust on the surface of the bronze. And unless he removes the infected pieces, his collection is doomed.
But why did you call him an artistic criminal?
He has $500,000 worth of items there. All the money in the world can't replace one of those pieces once it's lost. Don't you understand? There's nothing more valuable than a work of art.
Oh, yes, there is, Mr. Arrowfield. A human life. Here we are, Patsy. The Sun Employment Agency.
Doesn't look very busy.
I'm sorry, nothing available.
We're looking for Mr. Horace Allen.
Not here.
He was here this morning?
Here and gone. Can't supply him with anything.
Why not?
Sleeping quarters are impossible. The nephew's a chemist or something.
Did you say the nephew's a chemist?
Yes, has a laboratory alongside the servants' quarters. Terrible smells all day and all night.
Well, chemists ought to know more about Brown's disease than Craig seemed to. Patsy, let's have a talk with that young man right now. Here we are.
Nick, do you think Craig was lying?
Don't know, Patsy. Perfectly possible.
I hope Mr. Allen's back by this time.
With somebody to answer the door.
At least Craig ought to answer.
Probably back upstairs in his laboratory. Well,
Nick.
Just my little picklock, Patsy. Can't wait here all day. 1 second. There we are. Hello? Anybody home?
Funny. You told Craig to stay here.
Well, let's run up to the top floor. We'll find him there.
Walk?
Right. Haven't you noticed? Alan has a neat little private elevator installed.
Oh. Step in. Call your floor, please. First floor, dining room, smoking rooms, lounge room. Second floor, bedrooms, and more bedrooms. Third floor, hothouses, bedrooms, and more bedrooms. Fourth and top floor, servants' quarters, and... Nick, look. On the floor, it's Craig.
Yes. Fourth and top floor, murder.
First, a murdered housemaid, then a murdered chemist. How will Nick explain them and solve the mystery of the 6 statues? We'll see in just a moment. And now back to our story. Investigating a strange complaint about 6 statues, Nick and Patsy entered the empty home of Horace Allen to discover Allen's housemaid, Maisie Leeds, murdered. Nick finds that Allen's artworks are suffering from a rare disease known as Brown's disease, and also that Allen's nephew, Peter Craig, is an amateur chemist with a laboratory on the top floor of the house. When Nick and Patsy return to the house to question Craig, they find him murdered, too. Now they're in the murdered man's laboratory examining his body.
Well, Nick?
Stabbed through the chest with a brown spear, Patsy. Evidently one of the spears from Allen's collection.
Golly.
It was a powerful thrust. You see the tip protruding from Craig's back. You can also see it's tainted with the same Brown's disease that hit some of the statues. Hello.
What is it?
Craig didn't die at once.
What do you mean?
Look, here on the floor.
Oh. Craig must have tried to write something in blood as he was dying.
Yes.
It says NHL. NHL, what's that?
Couldn't tell you. Yet.
Nick, I got it. Initials. The initials.
Him murdered.
The killer.
Maybe.
It couldn't be Allen or Arrowfield or the Sun Agency. Maybe it was one of the old servants.
Hey, what's going on in this house? Where is everybody? What goes here?
Nick, I think I hear...
You don't think you do hear. Our old friend, Sergeant Matheson.
Hey, anybody home? Craig, Allen. Hey, Mr. Allen, Oh, glory be unseen things.
Oh, we're real, Sergeant.
Good afternoon, Matty.
Nick Carter and company, I might have known. What are you two? Hey, who's that on the floor?
Peter Craig. Murdered.
Craig, too? He's the guy that called me. First the girl downstairs, now him upstairs. What is this, a massacre?
I'll give you the facts, Matty.
No. Explanations first, if you please, Mr. Carter.
Here we go.
Now, look, I warned you 1,000 times when you get mixed up in murder cases to notify homicide. There's a law in this city. Don't you ever do anything but break the law?
Yes, I solve murders. You ought to know.
Yeah, I know, but Nick, please. We've got laws to enforce. Make it as easy as you can for us to enforce them.
Matty, I'm going to help you enforce one law today. The law against first-degree murder. Come on down to Allen's laboratory. So that's exactly where we stand in the case, Matty. The murders are tied up some way.
Is this a matter?
I have an idea how, but I'm not sure yet.
Well, look, what about the insurance angle? Maybe Allen's trying to ruin his own statues to collect the dough.
Oh, no, Matty. He could get more by selling them.
Well, maybe Craig ruined the statues and Allen killed him for revenge.
Maybe, but I doubt it.
Besides, that leaves out Maisie Lee.
Oh, forget her. She's just an accident in this case.
She's not an accident in this case, and she's not to be forgotten. Matty, you won't understand this, but in this case, I'm working for Maisie Leeds. I'm not working for you or the police.
What's that?
I'm working for justice. Justice for Maisie Leeds.
I think you're crazy.
Huh? See, Patsy, I told you.
Well. I'm pleased to see you all here. And a fine lot of people you seem to be. I'm Mr. Allen.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, indeed. Very easy man to work for. Just myself, my nephew in the house. Big house, few people, not too difficult, eh? I suppose the agency explained.
Mr. Allen.
You're the housemaid, eh? Very pretty, my dear. Very
Mr. Allen, your housemaid is Miss Patsy Bowen, my assistant.
What?
I am Nick Carter.
Nick Carter?
I'm going to be blunt, Mr. Allen. No sense beating around the bush. Your maid, Maisie Leeds, was strangled to death. Your nephew, Peter Craig, was stabbed to death.
What?
Oh. Well, help me in the chair, Matty.
Yeah, right, Nick. Thank you. I'll be all right.
I didn't spare you because we're pressed for time, Mr. Allen. The killer may strike again. We've got to work fast. Now, where were you all day?
At the employment agency, trying to hire servants.
A likely story.
It's true. I had to have them in the house today. I have a very important guest arriving on the 6:30 train from Washington.
Says you.
You can get the list of agencies with Mr. Allen and check the story later, Matty.
Yeah, okay.
Allen, I want to take one of your statues home with me. One of the diseased ones.
I'm sorry, I can't permit that, Mr. Carter. My guest coming tonight.
But you ought to remove the 6 statues anyway, Mr. Allen. Mr. Arrowfield said so. Why, they'll infect everything.
I know, but I can't. My guest is a famous collector and wants to buy some of my pieces. I've got to show him all of them.
I see. Well, in that case, we've got to work without your help. Come on, Patsy. We'll be in my lab if anything breaks, Matty.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Allen, what's the name of this famous collector who's visiting you tonight?
Norman Lane. Norman Hadley Lane.
Patsy, turn off the Bunsen burner, will you?
Of course. Nick, I just realized what Allen said.
What's that, Patsy?
The man coming up on the 6:30 train from Washington. Norman Hadley Lane. NHL.
Mm-hmm. Found at a couple of museums. Put a trial on him.
But the letters NHL, that's his initials.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Nick, you're not listening.
Just finishing this analysis, Patsy. Here. See this precipitate?
Yes.
That's the silver polish from Maisie Leeds' throat.
Is it silver polish?
No. Something that came from Peter Craig's lab. Now, hand me that package I brought from Allen's house.
Here.
Thanks. I'll wrap this.
Nick, you don't seem to care about the initials. I'll bet Lane's the killer. I bet he isn't even on the train. He's probably here already.
Here we are.
Nick, that's the spear that killed Craig.
Right.
But that's stealing police evidence. Oh, golly, Sergeant Matheson's going to be sore.
Allen would let me have a sample of his diseased bronze, so I had to steal it. Now let's cut a sliver of bronze off the tip of the spear, and we'll take a look at it under the microscope.
Now you're destroying evidence. Oh, Nick, I don't like it.
Not destroying. I'm just taking off a shaving. There. Now let's see.
Well? Well, what do you see, germs?
Yeah. Why don't you have a look? You see? This is a slice across the tip of the spear. Now, you see the outer portion?
Those crystals all around the edges?
Yes. A malachite crystal. Shows the presence of the brown disease. Now, what do you see inside? Toward the core of the section.
Just reddish metal.
Exactly. Amorphous bronze metal. Just pure, uncrystallized bronze. And that, Miss Bowen, breaks the case wide open.
Why, what do you mean, Nick?
I mean that... Oh, I'll get it. Hello?
Nick Carter?
Speaking. Who's this?
Here's a tip for you, Mr. Nick Carter. If you want to find who killed Peter Craig, watch the clerk from the Sun Employment Agency.
Quick, Patsy, get a line on this call. Trace it.
Right.
Afraid I don't follow you.
The clerk from the Sun Employment Agency. You'll find him at the Hotel Brighton. Now, he'll tell you who killed Craig.
Just let me get that down, will you? Hotel Brighton. Whereabouts is that?
I've talked long enough. You know what to do. Goodbye.
No, it's no use, Patsy. I couldn't hold him long enough. You get any kind of a trace?
No. Sorry.
Well, doesn't matter. Get Matty on the phone. Tell him we're picking him up and taking him for a ride.
To the Hotel Brighton?
Just tell him the killer will be at the other end of the ride.
Nick, never mind the mysterioso stuff. Where are we going?
Thought Patsy told you, Matty, to meet a murderer.
Where?
Didn't Patsy tell you that?
The Hotel Brighton.
Then we're going the wrong way. The Brighton's downtown in the village. You're driving uptown.
That's right.
Nick, the man on the phone said that...
The man on the phone was wrong, Patsy. Here we are. This is where we're going.
Huh?
What time is it?
6:25.
Just in time. Come on.
Oh, this is Pennsylvania Station.
Right. And we're going to meet the Washington train.
You mean to tell me the killer is this Lane guy? Norman Hadley Lane?
That's who we're going to meet. We'll have to move quickly. We haven't much time.
Oh, but Nick...
We'll talk later, Patsy. I'm afraid to cut it rather fine. We've got to get to the lower level and be on the platform when the train pulls in. This way.
If this is a wild goose chase, Nick...
When I lead you wrong, you can say that, Matty. Not until then. Down this ramp.
Right.
Now, that's the Washington train. Quick.
Oh, we'll never get through the crowd.
We've got to. Here are pictures of Lane.
Yeah.
Take them. You can't miss him. He's a big man, quite stout. Heavy grayish beard. Looks like Edward VII. Look sharp. Now we mustn't miss him.
Now listen, Nick.
This is no time for arguments, Matty. We've got to locate Lane as soon as he gets off that train. Now stand by.
Right.
I'll take the center. You watch right. Matty, you take the left.
Okay.
Fat man, Edward VII, beard.
What a crowd. I think...
Oh, we only know which car.
Hold it. There he is. Car in front of us. Quick, Matty. Forward.
Right.
It's a Lane. It's a Norman Lane. Norman Hadley Lane. Get down. Get down.
Nick, what are you doing?
He's tackling me.
Matty, you got him?
Yes, I got him, Nick.
All right, hold on to him. Right. Let's take him to the station master's office. We can call the wagon from there.
Well, this is quieter at least.
Hey, Nick. Why didn't you warn me it was going to be an assassination?
Didn't know when it was going to happen.
What about Mr. Lane?
Oh, I just put him in a cab. He's all right. He's pretty well shaken up, and I knocked him out of the way of the bullets. But that's a lot better than a shot through the heart. Huh, Mr. Arrowfield?
Oh, you dirty gumshoe snooper. I'd like to...
Hold on, Matty. He's a dangerous little man and a very clever actor. Phony Englishman, phony dealer in art objects, including phony bronzes.
Phony bronzes?
Certainly, Patsy. That was the whole motivation. When Mr. Allen took up collecting objects of art, Arrowfield got hold of them and sold him a lot of supposedly antique bronze masterpieces. But in reality, they were completely phony, being merely modern copies of those masterpieces. And unless I'm wrong, Mr. Norman Lane owned many of the originals from which Allen's bronzes were copied.
Well, Nick, what about that bronze disease?
When Arrowfield learned that Lane was coming to see Allen's collection, he knew Lane would recognize many of Allen's bronzes as copies of items in his own collection.
Yeah?
So Arrowfield, in order to force Allen to remove those phony pieces from his collection, deliberately infected them with a bronze disease.
What do you know?
Allen refused to remove them in spite of the disease, so Arrowfield had to do the next best thing, kill Lane. Otherwise, he faced exposure as a dealer in fakes and phony pieces. The murder of Lane, fortunately, didn't succeed. The others did. And I am going to see that you pay for them, Arrowfield. I want to be sure that Maisie Leeds, wherever she is now, gets her full $5 worth.
In just a moment, Nick will be back to give you the final details of today's story and tell you how he knew Arrowfield was the poisoner of the sick statue. And now let's hear from Nick Carter himself.
Nick, I don't see why Arrowfield killed Maisie Leeds.
Because when Maisie returned from mailing her letter to me, she saw Arrowfield in the collection room deliberately infecting the false antique bronze statues with the bronze disease. She was killed to silence her.
But how could Arrowfield poison the statues?
Well, Patsy, as Alan's guide and mentor in the new business of collecting, Arrowfield had easy access to the house. He was able to steal in and infect those statues with chemicals he took from Craig's laboratory. To be precise, with ammonium chloride. That's the corrosive agent that causes bronze disease.
Oh, and was that the powder you found on Maisie's neck?
Right. Some of it was on Arrowfield's hands when he strangled her. Evidently, Craig remembered seeing Arrowfield in his lab taking the chemical, so Arrowfield killed him.
But those initials Craig wrote.
Oh, they weren't initials, Patsy. Craig tried to write the chemical symbol for ammonium chloride, NH4Cl.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the N and the H and got as far as the first elbow stroke of 4 and then died. We thought he'd written NHL, which, purely by coincidence, happened to be Lane's initials.
Oh, I see. Well, Nick, you said Arrowfield's bronzes were 4. How could you tell that?
Patsy, remember this afternoon in my lab? You looked through the microscope at a piece of that spear that killed Craig?
Yes.
Well, really ancient bronzes become heavily crystallized through the years. But the piece we examined was crystallized only around the outer surface, showing that it was cast quite recently.
So that's it. Well, was Arrowfield trying to sidetrack you with that phone call so he could get at Lane when he arrived in town?
Yes.
Oh, lucky you weren't fooled.
Funny, no, it's a funny thing, Patsy. I've met thousands of crooks in my time, each one more clever than the next. And believe it or not, the only ones they fooled in the end were themselves.
Well, Nick, what story are we going to tell next week?
Remember the time we drove south to investigate the mystery of a legendary giant called Erdman the Earthshaker, whose footsteps apparently frightened a man to death?
Oh, yes. The clues to the case were green rice grains on the dead man's hand and a drop of blood on a bird feather.
Right.
What are you going to call the story?
The Case of the Bleeding Bobolink.
Nick Carter, Master Detective, is copyrighted by Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. Lon Clark is starred as Nick. Charlotte Manson plays Patsy. Script is by Alfred Bester, and any resemblance in these programs to actual persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. The entire production is under the direction of Jock McGregor. Nick Carter, Master Detective, is presented at this time and over these same stations each week by the three great Linex home brighteners. Linex self-polishing wax, Linex cream polish, and Linex clear gloss. Created by Acme, America's great producer of Acme fine quality paints. This is Ken Powell speaking for the thousands of Linex dealers all over America and saying so long until next week.
This I believe. The test of a good judge lies not in his legalistic knowledge alone. The Honorable Herbert E. Millen, judge of the Philadelphia Municipal Courts, has to be something of a philosopher as well in executing his duties as a jurist. Here, against that background of experience, he gives his personal convictions.
I find that a courtroom is a place which constantly taxes one's beliefs in life and humanity. The boy who robbed a service station knew it was wrong, but he did it anyway. The mother who abandoned her children in a coal flat while she went to a dance was sorry, but she would probably do it again. The list is endless. The misdeeds and misfortunes crowded into a court calendar often seem to make a mockery of the things we have been taught to regard as virtuous and good. Nevertheless, I am something of an optimist. I still believe that man is basically a positive creature, capable of great things beyond himself. It is ironic, perhaps, but it usually takes a disaster to bring out the best in people. Invariably in a flood or famine or in the midst of war, we become a little more human, a little more brotherly toward our immediate neighbors. That proves, I think, that a potential of decency exists in us, but the constant strain of living can easily obscure that potential. People are fallible and weak. When I was a boy, I remember there was a rocking chair in our house I kept tripping over. Every time I would turn around and give it a vicious kick. Once, after I had nearly broken my foot, I realized that I wasn't hurting anybody but myself. I think it is important to discover and admit one's own imperfections. Then it is easier to understand and endure them in somebody else. Inevitably, I am sensitive to prejudice. I appreciate now that prejudice is a childish thing, as senseless a reaction as kicking a chair, but it does exist. It is a cause of artificial differences which separate people. However, these differences are worn down as people come to know each other. Strangers thrown together come to know themselves for what they are, not for what they thought they were. It has been my observation that no matter who they are, or where they come from, or what they look like, people do respond to kindness and understanding. Therein lies my belief that an operable brotherhood of humans, while still a long way off, can be achieved if we can train ourselves to think and act, first of all, as human beings, not just as members of a certain group, race, creed, or even nationality. There is no use denying that I sometimes become impatient and discouraged at the slowness of progress along these lines. When I do, I am frank to say that I find support in my religious beliefs. There is too much lip service being given to Christian ideals these days, and that applies both inside church and out. But I have yet to find a sounder code of ethics and behavior than the Sermon on the Mount, or a more reassuring message than the 23rd Psalm. When I come across a familiar passage in the Bible, it is like getting a letter from my mother when I am away in a strange place. It is a friendly and recognizable message, and it makes me feel calm and warm. I cannot analyze all the reasons for this, but that does not bother me. The experience of comfort is no less real, and I need it in order to face the harshness of reality.
You have heard the beliefs of Judge Herbert E. Millen, who happens to be the first Negro in the history of the city of Philadelphia to be elevated to the bench. He is president of Philadelphia's Mercy Douglas Hospital, a trustee of Lincoln University, his alma mater, in Chester County, Pennsylvania, and a member of the General Council of the Presbyterian Church of the United States. An impressive roster of activities. But more impressive still, perhaps, is the fact that he is an instance where a man and his community have both risen high enough to clear the artificial barriers of prejudice, which, as Judge Millen says, too often keep people from working and living harmoniously together.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the night beat for the Chicago Star. Stories start in many different ways. This one began with a Halloween killing and ended with a black cat's sweet revenge.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Yes, Halloween had come and gone, but tonight was still a good night for any leftover spooks, witches, or black cats, as the hallowed eve itself. The rain came down like a million little hammers as I sloshed down the street. It was a tough night to be out, but I had to have a story for tomorrow morning's paper, and the public isn't interested if you get your feet wet doing it. Tonight there was digging in the garbage of Chicago for a yard. The Madison district. Wooden houses that leaned crazily to one side, apartment houses put together with spit and orange crates. Great spot for a cynic. It was on the corner of Martin Street. 2 or 3 shadowy figures stood staring at a big, ugly black cat on the street. He walked around in circles like some demented thing, its yellow eyes catching the light from the street lamp above. An old man was trying to coax it away.
You got to come home with me. I got milk for you. Honest, I have. And a warm fire. You like to be warm, don't you?
Well, that cat's gone crazy, old timer. I wouldn't go near it if I were you.
Yeah, she's been acting like that since they took Nick Corby's body away, almost an hour ago. Won't let anyone near her.
Well, they shouldn't have done it. Nick won't like Tilly standing out here in the rain.
I won't mind too much, Mike. Him being dead.
Come on, Pop. I'll take you home. The cat'll come in after a while.
They killed him, and Tilly knows who done it. Ain't you going to tell me who done it, Tilly?
What's with that old guy?
Yeah, little off. Harmless stuff.
What about this Corby?
He went out for a walk with a cat. Somebody heisted him, took his dough, and left a bullet hole in his head. Good exchange, huh?
Cops get anything at all?
Nah, didn't bother much. Asked a few questions and shoveled him into the meat wagon.
I call her and she won't come.
Well. Well, I guess I'll be moving on.
Yeah, me too. Hey, you want to know something?
Yeah, always.
This will give you a laugh. You look just like him.
Like who?
You look just like Nick Corby.
Before or after the bullet? So I plugged up the hole in my head and started walking away. Nothing here for me. Another Madison Street special. Guy robbed and killed. He'll stay dead, and the man with the gun will go on living. I'd gone 5 or 6 yards when I heard someone calling. Hmm? Oh, what is it, Pop?
Tilly, she's following you. There she is. You see her?
Oh, yeah, so she is. Come here, you scrawny thing.
Oh.
Hey, this ugly old doll's going for me.
Oh, she likes you.
What's the matter, Tilly? Things getting tough?
Hey, will you pick her up and take her to my place?
All right, Pop. All right, where do you live?
Right here, the Martin apartment.
Okay. Up you come, you black banshee.
The 3 steps going down. Here, in the basement. I'm the janitor here. Come in and warm up a bit.
No, thank you. Here's your cat. I've got to get moving.
Tilly don't want you to go. You hadn't ought to. She don't want you to.
You tell her I'm practically engaged to someone else. So long. I'd like to have accepted the old man's invitation to stay in for a short talk with him and the cat, but there didn't seem to be any room for the 3 of us. So I walked back upstairs, flagged a cab, and sank down in the seat. But before the driver could close the door, something jumped at me and landed in my lap. It was the cat. Driver, just a minute.
What is it?
I got to take this cat back. I'll be out in a few minutes.
Hey, look, mister, I'm losing fares. On a night like this, everyone wants a fare. I ain't waiting.
Nice boy. Come on, Tilly. Mike, here, come take the cat.
Oh, she went after you, and I couldn't stop her. She liked you. And when she likes a man, she don't let go of him. That's the way it was with Nick. That's no use. You can't get away from her. Maybe she thinks you're Nick. Oh, you look a lot like him, a lot.
I'll show her my birth certificate sometimes. Mike.
Huh?
Mike, what are you doing with that gun?
Oh, I'm cleaning it. You got to clean them all the time. They don't work. As a soldier, and I ought to know, you got to clean them and clean them.
Look, Mike, if the cat won't stay with you, why don't you take it back to Nick Corby's wife?
I wouldn't do that. Mrs. Corby's afraid of the cat. She even tried to kill her once, but Tilly was too smart. Mrs. Corby tried to kill Nick, too.
How do you know?
Nick told me. He was my friend. He played checkers with me, and you know what? He didn't call me Crazy Mike like the rest of them. He gave me his gun to keep for him after that time Mrs. Corby shot at him.
Is that the one you're cleaning now?
No. His is hid.
Mm-hmm. Where does Mrs. Corby live?
Oh, right here in this building. Did you know? Number 18.
Well, maybe I'll go up and have a talk with you. You lock Tilly in the other room. I'll go up and see her.
You ain't gonna tell her, are you?
Tell her what?
That I'm gonna kill her?
Old Mike wasn't going to do any killing with that gun. I hadn't liked the vacant look in his eyes and the tight lines around his mouth, so while we've been talking, I'd slipped the magazine into my pocket. But it still left him pretty dangerous. So I thought I'd better go up and have a talk with Mrs. Corby.
Who's there?
Mr. Stone.
Oh, come in. I'm so glad you came.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Hey, you don't look like a policeman.
I'm not. I'm a reporter.
Did the police send you?
Oh, not exactly.
Oh, I might have known. What's another killing to them when it happens on Madison? Who am I to ask for protection? Who am I to be worried about a crazy man saying he's going to kill me?
Well, maybe I can help.
Can you bring back my husband? Can you bring him back so that he'll pay the rent every month and see that I have something to eat and a dress to wear? Can you bring back the feeling I had of belonging to someone? That's the way it was till the cat came. That's who killed him.
The cat?
Yes. He said he was going out tonight. I told him, go, Nick. Now, don't you go
Or what?
Nothing. She couldn't stand seeing us happy. He'd put his arms around me, that cat would come whining and scratching at me, hating me with everything in her.
Oh, look, Mrs. Corby, you're upset now.
Always talking and whispering to each other till I go crazy mad. Nick stroking her and the cat purring and mocking me. I tried to poison her. I tried to shoot her. But I couldn't. She's too clever.
Well, the police will get at it, Mrs. Corby, in a few days. The whole thing will blow over.
I told them who did it. They said they'd look into it, but they won't till it's too late. That's the way the cops work around here.
I'm kind of confused, lady. Just who is it you're talking about?
Mike.
Mike? Did he kill your husband? Why?
Because he's crazy, that's why. Talking soft and low one minute and the next a raving maniac. He'll kill me, too, if the police don't stop him. What's that?
It's only the cat at the window.
Get away from there! You sneaking, lying thing! I'll kill you. I will. You hear?
Take hold of yourself, lady. Take hold of yourself. It's only a cat.
A cat? It's a she-devil. A scheming, rotten she-devil. You get away or I'll throw this.
She picked up the empty bottle and threw it at the window, and the cat disappeared. For a few minutes, I thought Mrs. Corby had gone out of her mind. I finally quieted her down. She wouldn't let me leave her at first. But when I told her I was just going to bring the police back, she locked herself in the room and told me to hurry. When I got out into the hallway, old Mike was standing by, an empty grin on his face.
Carrying on, wasn't she?
What are you doing up here?
Just listening. I like to hear people yell.
Well, you come on downstairs. I want to talk to you.
I made some tea for us. I like tea.
How did Tilly get out?
I opened the door and out she came.
Uh-huh. Did you want her to scare Mrs. Corby?
Yeah, it worked good, didn't it?
Mike, tell me, do you like scaring people, or is it just Mrs. Corby?
Here's your tea. I like tea.
Thanks, Mike.
Mrs. Corby don't like old Mike. She thinks I'm crazy. You?
You think I'd be here talking about important things if I thought you were?
Yeah, we got important things to talk about.
Mike, why do you want to kill Mrs. Corby?
She's a bad woman. Always running around that Mr. Baydell. You know, the one that plays the music.
And Nick didn't like that?
No, Nick didn't like the music, man. He hit him once, made him bleed all over.
Oh, when was this?
Day before yesterday. They was fighting about Nick's wife. And Mr. Baydell said, I'll kill you for this.
Do you think he did?
On a dark corner, in the rain, when nobody was watching, they'd done it to him. And I got to kill her for that. And him, too.
I'll tell you what, Mike. I'll go down and get the police here, and they'll look after it.
You know what? I lost part of my gun, and I can't use it.
Well, you won't need it. I'm going for the cops.
Oh, it takes them too long. I'll do it with Nick's gun. I got it hid for him.
Where is it?
I hid it good. It's under my bed. It's in this box.
Let me take a look at it.
Oh, it ain't here. It's gone.
You are listening to Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone. What's big? Well, the Grand Canyon is tremendous. Mount Everest is gigantic. And the Big Show is colossal. The Big Show, an hour and a half of the very best in comedy, music, and drama. Tallulah Bankhead is mistress of ceremonies, and your stars for this Sunday's premiere include Jimmy Durante, Fred Allen, Ethel Merman, Meredith Wilson, Frankie Lane, and many, many more. The Big Show will be heard for an hour and a half every Sunday on NBC, starting this Sunday. And now back to Night Beat and Randy Stone.
The old man's face went white when he couldn't find Nick's gun, and I could see a crazy rage coming to a boil. I don't mind telling you that I was scared. And then suddenly there was an explosion that seemed to come from the basement window. Somebody was shooting at us. I pulled Mike down to the floor. For a minute I thought Mike had been hit, but he was only dazed and maybe scared.
They want to get me before I get them.
Who, Mike? Who?
She don't like me, and Mr. Baydell don't like me.
Where does he live?
Next door, in the rooming house.
Well, I'm going to talk to him. Don't leave this room and you'll be all right. Understand me?
Well, where's Tilly? I ain't seen Tilly.
The cat will be all right. You just stay here. On the third floor of the rooming house, I heard accordion music coming from behind one of the closed doors. I knocked on it.
Come in.
I pushed the door open. I stood looking at a guy in his middle 40s wrestling with an old accordion. One look, and I was sure he wasn't the man of distinction. There was a cloudy glass of muscatel sitting on a dirty table at his side. His tongue was a little thick when he spoke.
A music lover, no doubt.
I see that your clothes are soaking wet. Just come in out of the rain, maybe, a few minutes ago.
Do I detect a tone of authority in your voice? Let me guess. Policeman?
No.
Oh, I'm greatly relieved. They frown so on musicians who slid from concert hall to bar room, from a Steinway to an accordion. Who are you?
I'm Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
Ah, yes, the Star. Your paper was kind to me in happier days. I dare say you want an interview, one of those what's become of stories. I'm sorry I can't oblige. I'm composing at the moment.
Look, Mr. Baydell, I have a few questions I'd like answered.
Ah, but haven't we all?
Question number one. Have you, in the past 15 minutes, fired a revolver?
That's simple. No.
Mind if I look around?
Not at all.
Now, what's the use? You could have ditched the gun.
Perhaps you would like to hear my newest work.
I'm more interested in Nick Corby at the moment.
Ah, lucky fellow. To be shot down, destroyed without a moment's warning. No remorse. A shot, and one less specimen of misery in the world. You rather think I did it, don't you, Mr. Stone?
From what I'm given to understand, you're a likely candidate.
Poor demented Mike has been talking to you. Do you believe it?
I suppose you were composing when he was shot.
I've been rehearsing the answer to that question all evening. I know it so well I could set it to music.
Well, I'll take it straight.
I was with Mrs. Corby when the news came in. In fact, I opened the door for the policeman.
Mrs. Corby will swear to that, I suppose.
Indeed she will. Fine person, Mrs. Corby. Now, Mr. Stone, before you go, perhaps you'd be interested in buying an etude I've recently finished. For $1...
sell it to the cops. You'll be seeing them pretty soon.
Will you please send one that can play oboe? I've written a variation in A minor for accordion and oboe that goes like this.
I don't know. I seem to have the knack of getting mixed up with offbeat characters. They fascinate me like a stage door fascinates some Johnnies. And I get to know what makes a guy tick, even if it means ducking a couple of bullets. There wasn't much doubt in my mind that either old Mike or Mr. Baydell had helped Corby out of this world. And even though they were interesting characters, they were both dangerous, and it kind of burned me up that the cops hadn't done anything about them. Mrs. Corby wanted protection, and she was entitled to it. So I hopped into a cab and went down to headquarters. Sergeant Kelly was playing four-handed canasta all by himself. Hi.
How about some canasta?
How about a little murder?
On a night like this?
Now, this is an old one. 3 hours ago, Nick Corby.
Oh, him. Boys just finished on him.
You got the report?
Not a written one, but I know all the stuff. Shot through the temple, very close range. He was robbed. Bad spot, that Martin Avenue.
What kind of gun was used?
45. Should have seen that neat, round little hole in his head. Looked like a bomb crater.
Mrs. Corby feels her life is in danger and asks for protection. How come she didn't get it?
Swanson told me about her. She's nuts. Talked about a cat killing her. Then some harmless old guy she wanted pulled. Some old drooler. She's nuts.
Well, she asked for something she's entitled to. And that harmless old man, somebody took a couple of shots at him.
Why didn't somebody tell her?
Well, I'm telling you now. You're going to send some boys down right away? You guys are going to get a blasting for my paper if you don't.
What are you all worked up about?
A guy was killed, that's all, and a couple of nuts with guns are on the loose, that's all.
Our boys questioned them and couldn't see no reason for doing more than they did. Now, be reasonable, Stone.
You going to get someone down there, or do I start writing?
I'll do what I can.
Good.
And, Randy.
Yeah?
If you're going to start writing, be sure you spell my name with 2 L's.
When I got back to Mike's place in the basement, he was gone. While waiting for him, I rummaged around a bit just to keep busy and see what I could find. I didn't even hear the door open, but then...
You won't find it.
Oh, hello, Mike. What won't I find?
What you're looking for. Old Mike knows.
What do you know?
He knows who killed Nick. He knows for sure now.
Who was it?
Mr. Baydell. He done it.
How do you know it was him?
I found the gun in his room. Nick's gun with 3 bullets missing. 1 for Nick and 2 for me. That's how I know.
Let me see it, Mike.
I got it hid good this time.
That's fine. We'll give it to the police when they come, won't we?
No. Nick wants me to do it myself.
He wouldn't show me the gun or tell me where he'd hidden it. And the look on his face told me that whatever was left of his brain was concentrating on what he was going to do. I ran next door and back upstairs to warn the musician. He was gone. The landlady told me, try the bar on the corner. The storm had got a new lease on life, and I was glad to close the door of that bar behind me. The place was empty, but for the bartender and my friend with the accordion.
Live one. What'll it be?
A little conversation with Shostakovich over there.
Tell the gentleman I have nothing to discuss with him. He is not a patron of the arts.
You heard him.
Mr. Baydell, you've got to get out of here.
Then tell the man what my terms are for conversation.
You gotta buy him a drink.
Oh, he's had enough.
A small subsidy of 50 cents may buy you a piece of posterity through my compositions.
Yeah, better buy him a drink, mister. He gets stubborn.
All right, then. Make it quick.
Thank you. I will now dedicate to you...
Look, Mr. Baydell, any minute now that door may open and you...
How dare you interrupt me in the middle of a presentation?
Well...
Humor him or you'll get no place.
I'm very sorry. Go ahead. Bartender, keep your eye on that door.
The piece I have selected for you is a bit of American minstrelsy. 2 lovers stood on the corner. Above them, the street lamp shone. A shot rang out through the dismal night, and the dead man lay alone.
Oh, that's just great. Now listen to me. Mike found the gun in your room, the one that was used to kill Corby with.
That's why they call him Crazy Mike. His retarded mentality makes his hallucinations so very powerful, and all with no aid from Bacchus, the god of wine.
But don't sell a guy like that short. They kill a lot quicker than the ordinary person.
Listen to that storm. A fine night for death. A fine night for sweet oblivion. Did he show you the gun?
No, but I know he's got it.
And he found it in my room?
Yes.
Sweet, faded traitress. She put it there.
What do you mean?
Nothing.
Closing up, boys. Nothing doing tonight. Probably be another power failure before long anyway.
All right, if you're smart, you'll come with me to police headquarters. It'll go a lot easier with you if you don't wait to be picked up.
No, I may be better served this way. Mike is looking for me?
Yeah.
Then I shall walk home slowly, and perhaps on the same corner, under the same streetlight, complexities may become peace, and the struggle ended. Yes, I like it this way.
Look, mister, you're a sick man, a very sick man.
On the contrary, I can't remember when I felt better. Good night, sir.
10 more minutes, and I close shop.
I'll stay till then. Good night again, Mr. Stone.
The guy was mad. Didn't I say something about Halloween? Well, I had the 2 spooks, Crazy Mike and Mr. Baydell. I had the black cat, too. All I needed for the repeat performance was a witch and a broomstick. I got back to Mike's basement rooms thinking I'd stay with him till the boys from headquarters got there. Mike!
Mike ain't here. Who are you?
Randy Stone, Chicago Star.
Oh, Charlie told me of your run.
Well, I'm glad you got here. Did you take Mike in?
I couldn't find him. I'm waiting here. Figure he'll show up.
He's got a gun. He's planning to use it.
Kelly's upstairs talking to Mrs. Corby now.
Well, one of you guys better get down to the corner bar and keep your eye on the accordion player named Baydell.
Yeah? Who's he?
That's the guy Mike is going to kill.
Oh, I can't leave here. Maybe you better tell Kelly to go after Baydell and you stay with Miss Corby. He'll be plenty happy to get out of there. She's driving him nuts about that black cat.
Have you seen the cat?
No. I heard her meowing outside and went out and looked around, but she was gone.
Kelly let me into Mrs. Corby's room. He was looking pleased with himself.
Hello, Stone.
Oh, you.
Well, we're getting places on this thing, aren't we, Mrs. Corby?
Well,
I convinced her to give me some of the real facts, didn't I? And it comes out that you don't think Crazy Mike done it. Do you, Mrs. Corby?
Mr. Baydell?
How do you know?
Mike found the gun in his room. 3 bullets fired.
Where's the gun? Where's the gun?
Mike's got it. He's looking for Baydell to give him the rest of the bullets in the head.
That's not so good. We got a man at Baydell's room waiting for him to come home.
He's at the bar on the corner.
I'll go get him. You stay here with Mrs. Corby.
All right.
Well, Eddie, it looks like your worries are all over.
now you promised to take the cat, too.
There we go again with the cat. Okay, we'll take her. I'll be back in a few minutes. Keep the door locked, Stone.
Okay. You didn't tell me about your boyfriend before, Mrs. Corby.
I tried to shield him. I knew they wouldn't do much to old Mike.
Why did he kill him?
Nick made fun of him. And Mr. Baydell wanted me for himself.
He told me he was with you when the police came to tell you about the shooting.
He'd come in about 2 minutes before they did and made me say it. He came up the fire escape through this window.
Well, it'll be over in a few minutes.
It will if they take the cat away. If they don't, oh. Who's that?
You're doomed, lover. Open up.
Don't let him in.
I've got to. I've got to hold him for the police.
Your persistence would have done you well in the musical field, young man.
You're not doing so bad yourself.
I saw a rather heavy-set gentleman searching for me. You sent him, no doubt?
No doubt, and he'll be back.
And Mike, where's he? He disappointed me keenly. I waited and waited for him on the corner. By the way, has my true love told you all?
Yeah.
Did the sweet, tone-deaf person tell you that she was insanely jealous of her husband's relations with a black cat?
Don't believe it, Mr. Stone.
How come, Baydell? 15 minutes ago, you were ready to let Mike get you. Now you're singing a different tune.
Mike disappointed me. I would gladly have paid on the street corner. But in a stinking jail? No, I'd rather not.
Don't listen to him. He's crazy.
You're wasting your time.
Did the lady tell you that she came in through the fire escape 3 or 4 minutes after the shot was heard?
Well, let it go. I'm not the judge or the jury.
Oh, very well. Then let us sit here and just listen to the story.
I'm frightened.
It's only thunder.
The lights.
The lights are out.
Now, cut the hysteria. It's only a power failure. They'll be on in a few minutes.
Oh, quiet, please. The beauty of darkness was never more necessary than now.
What's that?
Probably the police.
Who is it?
Just Mike.
Oh, the cat. Take it away, Mike. Mike, please, take it away.
The lady's rival.
Hi, Mike. Come on, old-timer. Give me that gun.
Here we are. Don't move. None of you. I can't see in the dark, but I'll shoot at the first thing that moves.
The cat. She's looking at me. Oh, Mike, take her away.
Mike, the police are downstairs. They've come to straighten everything out.
It didn't call me crazy. Poor old Mike, he can't see in the dark room, but Tilly can. Can't you, Tilly? Tilly will show me where he is so I can shoot him.
Mike, I'm afraid of her. If she touches me...
Don't bother you, Mrs. Corby.
Mike, I'm coming to that window, and you'll give me that gun.
I got a bullet for you, too, if I have to. Stay where you are. Tilly. He was there with Nick when it happened. You can see him. You just walk over to him, Tilly, and I'll see your eyes in the dark. Tilly. Then I'll know where to shoot.
She's coming down.
I watched with a horrible fascination as the cat landed on the floor. She looked around the room carefully, her yellow eyes flashing with hate.
Don't let her touch me. Don't. I can't stand it.
Easy, Mrs. Corby. You'll excite Mike.
Oh, she's going to spring at me. I can't stand it. Mike, take her away. I did it. I killed him. Isn't that what you want to know? Now take her away. Take her away.
Mike fired straight at Mrs. Corby, but somehow his shot went wild. And then it was all over. Kelly'd been working his way up the fire escape, and he got Mike from behind.
Okay, old-timer. Let me have the gun.
We evened up for him, didn't we, Tilly? We evened up for Nick.
Come on, Pop.
I'm coming. Just a minute now. You listen. Hear that? Tilly's happy now. She's happy now. We got her all right.
She made me do it. That cat. She hated me, and she made me kill him.
The boys took over, and there was nothing left for me to do. Mrs. Corby turned out to be the missing witch in my Halloween ball. She'd taken the shots at Mike and then planted the gun in old Baydell's room. I walked the broken-down musician home. I felt I owed him an apology. I'm sorry about tonight. Everybody makes mistakes, and I picked tonight to make one of mine.
I made a bigger mistake than you did, Mr. Stone.
What was that?
When Mike was at the window, I should have shouted, "Here I am."
But he would have killed you.
Yes. Good night, Mr. Stone.
Good night, sir. Yeah, I've got a talent for getting mixed up with weird characters. 3 out of the 4 were wacky, off their rockers. Old Mike, Mrs. Corby, Baydell, the accordion player. And the 4th character, of course, is me. And you know what? I'm not so sure about him either.
No.
Am I, Tilly girl? I would have sworn that cat said something. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and edited and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's script was written by Lou Rusoff with music by Frank Worth. The part of Mrs. Corby was played by Lorene Tuttle. Mike was Will Gear. Others in tonight's cast were June Foray, Tudor Owen, Ken Christie, Lamont Johnson, and Lou Krugman. Frank Lovejoy will soon be seen in the Warner Brothers adventure drama Breakthrough. Three chimes mean good times on NBC. Here is a special listening note for all of you who enjoy following along step by step with Randy Stone as he covers the Night Beat. Starting next Friday, November 10th, Night Beat will be heard exactly 1/2 hour earlier over most of these stations. Next week, in this time period, you'll hear the premiere of a new series starring Monty Woolley as the Magnificent Montague. Remember, next Friday, Night Beat will be heard 1/2 hour earlier. Consult your local papers for the exact time. Tallulah Bankhead as Fem C brings you The Big Show Sunday on NBC.
This I believe. There is never any scarcity of politicians, but statesmen are few and far between. New York's former governor and present U.S. Senator Herbert H. Lehman classifies in our book in the latter category. He is never afraid to speak his mind and has something both pertinent and courageous to say on public matters or private ones, such as this.
So many things affect a man's philosophy and his life that I find it difficult to put into words my personal beliefs. I hesitate to speak of them publicly for fear of giving the appearance of preaching. 2 convictions, however, I believe have more than any others influenced my thinking both in private and in public life. First, commonplace as it may sound, I am convinced that what we get out of life is in direct proportion to what we put into it. Second, I must respect the opinions of others, even if I disagree with them. Throughout my long and rather busy career, I have always held firmly to the belief that I owe life as much as it owes to me. If that philosophy is sound, and I believe that it is, it applies, I hope, to all of my activities, to my home, to my daily work, to my politics, and above all things, to my relationships to others. Life is not a one-way street. What I do, what I say, even what I think, inevitably has a direct effect on my relationships with others. I am certain that in the degree that my attitude towards others has given convincing proof of loyalty, sincerity, honesty, courtesy, and fairness, I have encouraged in others the same attitude towards me. Respect begets respect. Suspicion begets suspicion. Hate begets hate. It has been well said that the only way to have a friend is to be one. None of the blessings of our great American heritage of civil liberties is self-executing. To make effective such things as brotherhood, kindliness, sympathy, human decency, the freedom of opportunity, the very preciousness of life, to make these things real requires respect and constant vigilance. This is the core of my American faith. As I have said, I believe I must help to safeguard to all men free expression of their views, even though I may be in disagreement with them. I must listen to and study responsible views. Sometimes I will learn much from them. No individual and no nation has a monopoly of wisdom or talent. When an individual or a nation becomes self-satisfied or complacent, it is time, I believe, to be deeply concerned. He who closes his ears to the views of others shows little confidence in the integrity of his own views. There can be no question with regard to the inherent rights of Americans to enjoy equal economic opportunity in every field, to secure decent living conditions, adequate provision for the moral and spiritual development of their children, and to free association with their fellow men as equals under the law and equals in the sight of God. These rights can be safeguarded and advanced only where men may think and speak freely. I reject a fundamental principle of democracy if I seek to prevent a fellow citizen of different background from fully expressing his thoughts on any subject. I have tried to express a few of my own thoughts on this subject, which is very close to me. I think that we will have good reason for optimism about the future of the American ideal, as long as men can and will say, without fear, what they believe.
That was Senator Herbert H. Lehman of New York, who sees great value in simple beliefs honestly held.
Broadcasting Company presents Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective.
Oh, calm down, baby. Take it easy. It's all right now.
Hey, what's going on in here?
We'll get a doctor to step on it.
Yeah, okay.
Joyce. If you keep on like this, you'll end up sleeping in a cage. Joyce, will you shut up and listen to me? Okay, honey, sorry.
Here's another exciting half hour with Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency. Anything for the home. Reconditioned V2 bombs, complete with built-in seat for your mother-in-law's next trip. Also a large stock of 5-second hand grenades for the kiddies in the block.
Rick.
Oh, by the way, we have a special today.
Oh, you have?
Yes, with every 5-ton purchase of dynamite, you'll get free of charge a nifty nitro tank destroyer kit.
Oh, that's nice.
Great for parties. Plant one in your driveway and give your relatives that extra lift.
Richard Diamond.
Yes?
Oh, you're terrible.
Oh, now you only say that because you're an authority on the subject.
It's a wonder you ever get any clients.
Oh, honey, maybe I've been trying too hard. This week, clients have been as scarce as lobsters on the Sahara.
Oh, no business at all?
Helen, if a client walked in now, I'd probably fall off the chair.
Mr. Dunn. Oh, my goodness.
Rick!
Just being as good as my word, dear.
Can I give you a hand?
No. What else do you want to get rid of?
Rick, what happened?
Oh, someone just walked in.
And you fell?
Yeah, right on the...
Rick?
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. What can I do for you, dear?
Well, my name is Joyce Wallace. I want to hire you.
How do you do, Miss Wallace? Why do you want to hire me?
Because someone tried to kill me.
How?
I was sitting in my living room. Someone took a shot at me through the window.
Your new play opened last week, didn't it?
You know who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I remember a number you did in tights. You got a pretty face, too.
But thank you.
Have you gone to the police?
No.
Well, baby, if someone's out gunning for you, the law's your best bet. I think you better go see them.
I can't.
All right, then tell me about it.
Well, as you know, I'm an actress. If this got out, it would be all over the papers by tomorrow.
You've had publicity before?
Certainly, and some of it's been very bad. But this time I can't afford bad publicity.
Oh, well, go on.
You see, my husband and I have separated. I'm trying to retain custody of our child.
And the courts wouldn't like you getting shot at?
Barton, it's my husband, will try just about anything to get the child away from me.
You're married to Barton Webb?
The playwright.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe he was the one who took the shot at you.
I've thought about that, but it's a little hard to believe.
Why?
Well, we've had a fairly decent relationship up till 6 months ago.
Honey, I've known guys who got mad and slit their wives' throats all in a matter of an hour or so. It doesn't take 6 months to build up to a shooting.
Well, that's why I want to hire you. I want you to find out.
Can you think of anyone else who might like you better at the morgue?
Well, I have people who don't like me, certainly.
Certainly.
Why do you agree so quickly?
Sweetheart, look. It stands to reason that half the women who know you would dislike you just because, well, let's say your bathing suits have an advantage.
Nice. What about the other half?
Oh, probably like their husbands in a vault after 6 in the evening.
Oh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you take the job, we'll probably spend a lot of time together.
Dear, I've got claustrophobia. If I get nervous, I'll just run my head into a wall or something.
You're hired.
You're jumping the gun. I get $100 a day in expenses.
I have a check.
I'll take it.
There you are.
I certainly am. Well, let's go.
Where to?
Your apartment. I want to look for the bullet.
Good. We can have a drink.
Well, it's a little early, but I could use something cool.
Are you warm?
I think so. I've smoked 3 cigarettes while we've been talking and haven't lighted one match. We left the office then with Joyce Wallace in the lead. I followed her down the hall, into the elevator, down to the first floor, where I bought some seasick pills and decided it was better to walk alongside of her. We grabbed a cab, and 20 minutes later I was standing on a foot-thick carpet surrounded by a very cozy apartment. Cozy. That means $25,000 worth of furniture that you'd never look at when Joyce Wallace is in the room.
You like it?
Oh, but yes. Tell me, when did Mata Hari go in for decorating?
Would you like to see where the bullet came through the window?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's right over here. See?
Yeah.
Mr. Diamond.
Oh, yeah. Well, the bullet. Yeah. Oh, right through the window.
I was standing over there by the sofa when I heard the shot.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm looking for the bullet. It's got to be around here someplace, unless you've already found it.
Oh, I know. I never even thought to look.
Well, it should be in this wall somewhere.
I'll fix us that drink while you're looking.
Take your time.
What do you like?
Oh, any old thing with Hey, wait a minute. You don't know any midgets, do you?
Whatever do you mean?
Mind if I stand on this chair?
Go ahead. Oh, I see it. The bullet up there by the ceiling.
Yeah, that's what I meant about knowing a midget. Your window's right on the street. If an average man pointed the gun, he was either down on his knees or he was a pretty lousy shot.
Can you pry it out?
Yeah. I got it. Uh-huh. There you are.
What are you going to do with it?
I'll run it down to the 5th Precinct and have ballistics check on it.
That means you're going to see the police.
Well, honey, what else can I do? I don't think the Boy Scouts are equipped for that sort of thing.
I told you I don't want the police brought in on this.
Oh, they won't be. I've got a few friends who'll do the job, and that's that.
Oh. Well, how about that drink?
Oh, I'll take a rain check for later.
Well, it's 4:30 now. I'll be at the theater at 6.
If I don't get back here to you, I'll see you at the theater.
Well, it's the Strand. I'll leave word with the doorman.
Tell me, dear, you don't do another number in tights, do you?
Well, no. Why?
Oh, it's just as well. Last time my blood pressure went up so high, some guy sitting right behind me got an idea for a new pressure cooker and made a fortune. I'll see you later, dear. She walked me to the door and said something about all work and no play, and then she stood on her toes and kissed me on the forehead. The kiss was effective, all right. When I finally found my way down the hall, I knew just how the first cow in Texas felt right after being branded. I got out into the fresh air, gulped a couple of lungs full, grabbed a cab, and a few minutes later I was walking into the squad room of the 5th Precinct Police Station. Well, good afternoon, Sergeant.
Oh, what do you want, Shamus?
What do you want, Shamus? Oh, Otis, why don't you be happy? Conform. The worst has happened. They'll never send you back to the jungle.
Ooh.
The lieutenant in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Sporty. No, Otis.
Yeah, what is it?
When are you going to get a haircut?
What's the matter with my hair?
Looks like a mountain lion's been sleeping in it. Hello, Walt.
Why don't you leave him alone, Rick?
He's used to it. It'd drive him out of his mind if I walked in someday and didn't say a word.
It would?
Probably.
Why don't you try it?
Oh, you're as bad as I am.
That's a horrible thing to say to me. And by the way, what are you doing down here, Rick? What's going on?
I want a ballistics check on this bullet.
Oh, you do, huh? Where'd you get it?
What?
That bullet.
Well, what do you want to know for?
Because I think you're trying to hide something.
Now, why would I do that, Walt?
Because that's the way you operate. Now, where did you get that bullet?
What bullet?
Oh, you stop that. That bullet you got in your hand, that one right there.
This one?
Yes, that one.
What about it?
Where'd it come from?
You want to know?
Of course I want to know.
Well, who can tell you better about a bullet than ballistics?
Yeah. Otis.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
Get in here.
What are you going to do?
Find out about that bullet.
You wanted me, Lieutenant?
No. I just wondered if you guessed who it was on my private line. Take this bullet down to ballistics and bring me the report.
Right.
Thanks, Walt. I'll check with you later.
Now, you wait a minute. There was something I was going to ask you.
Yes?
Well, I'll think of it later.
Something about the bullet, Walt?
Yeah, that was...
I let Walt chase me as far as the street, then I grabbed another cab and headed for my own apartment. It was about 5 o'clock, so I cooked up a short meal, climbed into a shower and my other suit. At 6 o'clock, I was at the Strand Theater talking with the doorman.
Say, your name's Diamond?
Yeah, that's right, Pop.
Well, Miss Wallace said to show you right back, but I don't know whether this is a very good time or not.
Well, she said 6 o'clock. It's 6 now, Pop.
Yeah, but she's got a visitor.
Oh.
Well, come on, I'll show you anyway. Her dressing room is right down this way.
I'm not going to give her up.
Well, my dear, you make us caskets anyway.
Oh,
you see what I mean?
Husband?
Yep.
You just get out of
Still
here.
want to go in?
You know I'm
I think so.
You're just trying to upset me.
I want to settle this thing once and for all.
Good luck.
Thanks, Pop.
Well, I don't care. I'm just going to go ahead with my plans.
You better answer the door, darling. Give your tonsils a rest.
Hello, Joyce.
Oh, come in, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, he's a new one, isn't he?
This is Mr. Diamond, and I have some business I want to talk over with him. Alone.
Well, anyway, you look at him. It certainly would be foolish for me to argue the point. I suppose you chin yourself regularly, Mr. Diamond?
Chins are a hobby with me, Mr. Webb. I've come in contact with several in the past.
A wit. Muscles and wit. This is a new achievement for you, dear.
Please get out of here, Bart. Now.
Good evening, Mr. Diamond. I will say that you're more of a presentable specimen than the others.
You're somewhat of a specimen yourself, Mr. Webb.
Another time, Mr. Diamond. Good evening.
Oh, he just won't leave me alone.
Did you tell him about someone trying to take a shot at you?
Well, of course not. He'd go right to the papers. It's just what he's looking for. Oh, no.
I'll get it.
I see you made it all right.
Hello, Pop.
Who is it?
Package for you, Miss Wallace.
Oh, thanks, Pop. Will you take it, Mr. Diamond?
Sure thing. Thanks. Oh, well, flowers.
Flowers? Oh, this is his idea of a joke. Upset me so I can hardly go on, then a few seconds later his flowers arrive.
Biton's flowers?
Yes. Sends me yellow roses every Monday. There.
Look out.
A snake!
Get back.
Oh, it's crawling out!
All right, it's okay now. He's dead. Honey, calm down.
Hey, what's going on here?
Call a doctor, Pop.
What's the shooting all about?
When you get out of here and call a doctor, go on.
Okay. Hey, ain't that a snake?
No, it's an eccentric spaghetti. Now get that doctor. Joyce, you've got to take it easy. The snake's dead. Now calm down, baby.
A snake.
You keep on like this, you'll end up sleeping in a cage. Joyce, will you shut up and listen to me? Okay, honey, sorry. Like I said, sorry, but it's better if you sleep it off. I don't usually like to belt women, but this was one of those times when a case of nerves had to be turned off in a hurry. Like a leaky faucet. Pretty soon the tub runs over and something gets rusted. I caught her as she went down, picked her up, carried her over to the couch, and then I left her that way until the doctor arrived.
Oh, no wonder she went off like that. I'd probably end up walking on my hands if somebody sent me a snake.
I think maybe I hit her a little hard.
Best thing you could have done under the circumstances.
She's coming out of it.
I'll give her a mild sedative, calm her down. She'll be all right now after the initial shock is worn off.
Joyce, how do you feel?
Well, you bully.
Had to do it.
Think you'll be all right now, Miss Wallace?
Who are you?
Doctor. He's going to give you something to make you rest.
He's not going to hit me, too, is he?
Oh, no, just a mild sedative. Calm you down. Make you feel better.
Well, thank you, but I don't need anything. I'll be all right. Besides, I've got a show to do.
Whatever you say.
You're sure it wouldn't be better?
Where's the snake?
Oh, dear. Pop just took it out.
Oh. Let me sit up. I'm all right.
Right in here, Captain.
Lieutenant.
Everybody duck.
Aha. I might have known it.
You might have, but you've still got your sergeant around to keep you in a stupor.
Oh, he's picking on me again, Lieutenant.
Well, what in the world is going on here?
The law has landed, Joyce. This is good Lieutenant Levinson. Walt, Miss Joyce Wallace.
Oh, they must be here about the snake.
Yeah, I called him, Miss Wallace.
Who's this guy?
No, this guy's a doctor, Walt.
I'm just leaving, Lieutenant, and Miss Wallace seems to be all right now.
All right, Doctor. Otis, take him out in the hall. Get his name and address in case we want to talk to him.
All right, Lieutenant.
Well, goodbye, Miss Wallace. You just try and relax.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
All right, Rick. Now, what the devil's going on here? We get a call from the doorman. There's a snake loose in Miss Wallace's dressing room, that someone's been doing some shooting.
Well, the snake was loose. I shot it.
That's right, Lieutenant. It's as simple as that.
Oh, it's as simple as that. How'd the snake get in here?
Oh, maybe he was one of her fans.
Now, you stop that.
You find out about that bullet?
Yes, I found out about that bullet. Fired from a Mauser 25. And that's another thing I want to...
Lieutenant, there's really nothing to worry about. A snake got into my dressing room. Mr. Diamond shot it, and that's all.
Miss Wallace, how does a snake get backstage and into a dressing room?
Well, now, let's see. If I was a snake...
All right. I looked at the snake. It wasn't poisonous, so I guess it doesn't make much difference.
Wasn't poisonous?
No, Red Heart, just a little old gopher snake. Now, what about that bullet you had me analyze?
That's part of a case I'm working on. I'll tell you about it later.
Nothing to do with Miss Wallace, I suppose? No connection with the snake at all?
None whatsoever, Lieutenant.
Is this the box the snake came in?
Yeah.
I'll check with the florist.
Yeah, do that, will you? And let me know what you find out.
All right, but Diamond, so help me. If somebody gets killed, I'm going to hold you for complicity.
I bet you can't say it again.
Say what?
Complicity.
Complicity.
You never know.
Thank you for not telling him anything, Mr. Diamond.
Well, there wasn't much to tell. Maybe you'd better help me out, though. Any idea why someone would send you a non-poisonous snake?
Certainly, I have a deathly fear of them, any kind of snake.
How many people know about this?
My husband.
Anyone else?
No one. I've never told anyone. You see, I was bitten by a snake when I was a little girl in Wyoming. I never got over it.
Well, someone must have known about it then.
My family and a doctor. They're all dead now.
All right. I'm going to leave for a while. Think you'll be all right for the show?
Oh, certainly. I have a little time before curtain.
Oh, by the way, what's your husband's address?
559 East Park. Why?
Well, I'm going over to see him. Find out what kind of presents he's in the habit of sending.
Yes? Oh.
You should be in mourning, Mr. Webb. I just killed a friend of yours.
What?
Maybe you better let me in.
Well, if you're running around exterminating my friends, maybe I'd just better call the police.
Why don't you do that? Now I'm coming in.
I hardly see...
Oh, yes.
Well, you're in. Can I get you a drink, Mr. Diamond?
I haven't got much time. I want a few answers.
Well, at least take your hat off. I don't like being intimidated, but if I must be subjected to your roughhouse tactics, I prefer you to be polite.
If I get the right answers, I'll be so polite I'll even apologize when I break your leg.
I really think I'd better call the police.
Did you send your wife a snake?
Has Joyce taken up the bottle?
Which leg do you want me to start on?
Now, don't be ridiculous. Of course, I didn't send my wife a snake.
Did you send her flowers?
Yellow roses. I have a standing order with the florist every Monday night.
Well, this Monday there was a snake in them.
You're serious?
How do I look?
Well, that is a very provocative question.
Look, Buster, let's not...
Good grief. If someone did send Joyce a snake, she must be in a complete state of hysterics. She hates them.
Do you own a Mauser 25, Mr. Webb?
Why, yes. How did you know that?
I didn't. Can I see it?
No, as a matter of fact, it disappeared a couple of days ago.
That's a little thin.
Mr. Diamond, I assure you that if I could show you the gun, I would be most happy to. Loaded and pointing right at your overdeveloped chest.
You say it disappeared a couple of days ago, hmm? Sure about that?
Of course. I kept it in my bureau drawer. When I got up in the morning, it was there, and that evening I went to get a handkerchief, and the gun was gone.
Nothing else moved? No indication of robbery?
No.
Who has a key to the apartment besides yourself? Your wife?
Mr. Diamond, a moment ago you told me someone had sent my wife a snake. I mentioned that she must be in a complete state of hysterics. Then you start this ridiculous questioning about my missing gun. Now, if my wife was hysterical, by now she's probably looking for the top of her head. Now, get out of my way.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
My wife and I may have our differences, Mr. Diamond, but unfortunately for me, I still love her.
Oh?
And if you ever tell her I said so, muscles or no, I shall assert myself and beat your head off.
Oh, relax. She's all right. She's probably doing her show right now.
Nevertheless, I'll thank you to remove your oversized hulk and let me go to her.
Someone also took a shot at her.
What? Oh, now I am going to the police.
She thinks you did it in order to gain custody of the child.
Well, she certainly deserves to think so. I'm not exactly an easy person to live with. Now, please.
If this gets to the papers, Mr.
You
Wilson.
have my word.
Now, one more question. Did you ever tell anyone about your wife's fear of snakes?
Positively not.
Oh. Mind if I make a phone call?
If you like.
You admit sending your wife the yellow roses?
I admit sending my wife some yellow roses. I deny having anything to do with the snake.
Homicide, Lieutenant Levinson.
What'd you find out about the flowers, Walt?
Husband sent them, a Mr. Barton Webb.
Oh, I'm with him right now.
Good for you. But there's no possible way he could have gotten a snake in that box. The flowers were sent over by a messenger. The snake had to be put in between the stage door and her dressing room.
Well, Pop, the doorman, brought him in. Maybe he did it.
I'm going down to question him.
Okay, Walt, okay. I'll keep in touch.
Please do that. I couldn't stand it if everything suddenly started to work normally.
Well, did you find out how I put the snake in the box, Mr. Diamond?
No, but I'm still interested.
I'll get it. Yes? Well, hello. Yes, dear. All right, I'll be right over.
Leaving?
Unless you'd care to wrestle. Stay as long as you like, though. Pour yourself a drink. The poison is in the red decanter.
You know, the poison was in the red decanter. I stood there a minute, getting that lousy feeling again. The logical person to have fired the shot and sent the snake was Barton Webb. But my instinct said no. I remembered Walt had said he was going over to question Pop the doorman at the theater, so I took off fast in the hope of beating him there. The theater was only 4 blocks away, so I ran it.
Well, hello there, Mr. Diamond.
Hey, Pop, the law's on the way over here to pick you up.
Yeah, for what?
Well, they think maybe you put that snake in the box of flowers.
Well, I didn't, and they're going to have a hard time proving anything else.
Tell me, what did the guy look like who delivered the box?
Young kid.
Wearing a uniform?
No, just looked like one of the kids in the block. Matter of fact, I thought it was kind of funny, a kid like that delivering for a fancy florist. The fellow who delivered the other box was all get up in a nice blue outfit.
What other box?
Came right after you left. Looked like it was from the same florist.
Thanks, Pop. Is Miss Wallace on stage now?
No. She ain't in her dressing room either.
Her understudy take her place?
Yep. Miss Wallace didn't think she could go on. How did you know that?
I'll see you later, Pop.
I want to know where... Oh, no.
Hello, Walt.
Oh, no.
Bye, Walt.
Oh, no.
Well, I tore it right down the middle. I left the theater, headed across town in a hurry. I started adding things up. Webb owned a Mauser 25, but it was missing. A Mauser 25 had been used to take a shot at Joyce. Webb always sent yellow roses on Monday night. Yellow roses had come, and there'd been a snake in them. Something that Joyce had feared, and only one other living person besides herself supposedly knew about her fear. 2 boxes of flowers had arrived at the theater. Webb openly admitted sending one bunch. Suddenly everything was tying together, even a motive. Thanks, Gabby. Keep the change.
All right, thanks.
Joyce, now. Joyce, don't be a fool.
I told you once, Barton, that I couldn't stand it anymore. Now get away from me. Get away. Help!
Joyce, in the nick.
No,
Come on, open up.
Oh, shut up. Now, Joyce, for once, please try and use your head.
Open it up or I bust it in.
It won't do you any good. You can't intimidate me anymore.
Okay, here he comes.
Get away from me, Barton.
Oh, good grief. All right, toss the gun over here. Over here.
Oh, Mr. Diamond, he was going to kill me.
Oh, dear.
Mr. Diamond, Mr. Diamond.
Yes, Mr. Diamond, you've ruined the door.
He was going to kill me.
Was he?
Of course I was.
Barton.
Well, wasn't he, baby?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Good evening, Mr. Diamond.
Looks to me like Joyce had the gun.
Well, I was trying to protect myself. He threatened to kill me.
It runs in the family. Instead of an anniversary, we have a funeral. The Webbs have always killed their wives. An old custom thought up by my great-grandfather.
Barton, shut up!
This gun is a Mauser 25.
What did you expect? A crossbow?
Who does it belong to?
Me!
You told me your gun was swiped a couple of days ago, Barton.
Once I explained to a drama critic that my only claim to fame was talent.
Don't listen to him, Mr. Diamond. That's my gun.
It's mine, and I can prove it.
And you were the one who shot at Joyce from outside the window?
Naturally.
Which window did you shoot through?
What?
No, which? Which window? Quick.
Why, well, how do I know which window? I did it in such a hurry.
Where was Joyce standing? You must remember that.
I refuse to answer you. These questions are completely ridiculous.
Then if you did take a shot at her, you also sent her the
Oh,
snake.
stop it, both of you.
Well, he did, didn't he?
Of course I did.
Barton, why in the world do you stand there and admit these things?
Well, why not, my dear? I should think you might at least be grateful.
Grateful? Oh, I know you better than that, Barton Webb. You've got some crummy scheme up your sleeve.
Crummy?
Oh, swell.
Despicable. Despicable, that's what I meant. You have some
Well, if you're going to be on, then at least read your line slowly. Slowly, do you hear? Slowly!
Despicable!
Both of you shut up. You admit sending the snake, Barton?
Yes, I do.
He does not.
I most certainly do.
You're a liar.
What?
Yes, he's a liar, Mr. Diamond. I'll tell you all about it.
Joyce!
No, I'll tell you. You came to me because you said someone was trying to kill you. Shot at you through a window. Maybe Barton.
Of course, I told you.
Oh, shut up. Then a snake arrives in a box of flowers. Looks like Barton sent that, too.
I did?
You did like the devil. 2 boxes of flowers came to the theater tonight. One of them was yours, Barton. The other one you sent yourself, Joyce. You put a snake in it and had some kid deliver it.
I did?
Yes, and another thing. Barton left me in his apartment a good 20 minutes ago. If he was going to kill you, he'd certainly have done it by now.
The Webbs are naturally lazy.
You took his gun a few days ago, Joyce. You called him and told him to meet you here, hoping I'd follow. Then you were going to make it look like he'd attempted to kill you.
Oh.
Joyce, darling. I swear, Diamond, that at the first opportunity, I'm going to start working out at a reputable gym, and eventually I shall engage you in physical combat.
No, he's right. Mr. Diamond, you're right.
Yes, and the motive. You were afraid he was going to take away the one thing you loved, your child.
Barton, why didn't you just come right out and tell him? Why did you admit to something that wasn't at all so?
My motive will not be discussed.
Oh, the little brain was feeling a twinge of conscience. Pretty noble, too. He was willing to take the rap for all the trouble he'd given you in the past.
But...
Well, it was really nothing.
He's still in love with you, Joyce.
What?
Yeah, and I think you two better sit down and talk it over. Believe me, you deserve each other.
Oh.
There, darling. There.
You know, you could get in a lot of trouble for this, but I'll straighten it out with the law.
Oh, Mr. Diamond, how can I ever thank you?
By George. You know, you're not such a bad fellow after all.
Look, let's get something straight right now. I've been made a patsy and my feelings are hurt. I may not get over it until I get a big, fat bonus in the mail. No later than tomorrow.
Muscular, witty, and to top it off, a businessman. Mr. Diamond, I think you have a future.
What's that you're playing, Rick?
Oh, it's a new song, dear.
What's it from?
Show that opened last week.
Oh, the one your client is in?
Mm-hmm. She does it in one of those real tight evening gowns. You know the type.
Mm-hmm. And so do you.
Well, that's a pretty song.
Well, let me hear it.
Okay.
Well, look who's here. I haven't seen you in many a year. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked the cake. Baked the cake. Baked a cake. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do? How'd you do? How'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band. Grandest band in the land. Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band and spread the welcome mat for you. Now I don't know where you came from, 'cause I don't know where you've been. But it really doesn't matter. Grab a chair and fill your platter and dig, dig, dig right in. If I knew you were coming out to bake the cake, hired a band, goodness sake. If I knew you were coming out to bake the cake, how'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Now I don't know where you came from, 'cause I don't know where you've been. But it really doesn't matter. Grab a chair and fill your platter and dig, dig, dig right in. If I knew you were coming out to bake a cake, hired a band, goodness sake. If I knew you were coming out to bake the cake, how'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Oh, how'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do?
Honey, how'd you like that?
Well, I don't know why she has to sing that in an evening gown.
Well, she doesn't have a very good voice, dear.
Rick, I can't sing at all.
Sweetheart, you could come on in a tent doing 12 courses of Down in the Canebrake, and the critics would lock Joyce Wallace in the zoo.
You really think so?
Let's go buy a tent.
Oh, Rick, don't be silly. I couldn't wear a tent.
Well, you could try. If it doesn't work, I know a camping spot in the Catskills.
Oh, Rick.
Thrifty diamond.
Yes, I know. Never waste a good tent.
You have just heard Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Ed Begley played Lieutenant Walt Levinson. Also in the cast were Wilms Herbert, Francis Robinson, Clark Gordon, Joan Banks, Jack Crucian, and Charles Seal. Music was under the direction of Frank Worth. Today's show was written by Blake Edwards and directed by Russell Hughes. Dick Powell currently may be seen in the motion picture version of the best-selling novel, Mrs. Mike. This is Eddie King inviting you to be with us next Sunday at this same time when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. What's on NBC today? Later today, you'll hear Thornton Wilder's prize-winning play, Our Town, on Theater Guild on the Air. Today's Theater Guild production stars Elizabeth Taylor and Walter Houston. And for comedy, be sure to tune for the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Sunday on NBC is filled with entertainment, so keep tuned here. Next, hear James Melton and Harvest of Stars on NBC.
This I believe. Herbert Hodge is a London cabbie. Although he now only drives a taxi one day a week to keep his hand in, he is still remembered as the taxicab philosopher. In the late 1930s, he began broadcasting his experiences as a cab driver for the BBC and was immediately recognized as a natural. Since then, his voice has become one of the most familiar and best loved on the British radio. Now, Herbert Hodge shares with us his creed.
I sometimes wonder whether we human beings believe only what we want to believe. And then I say to myself, do I believe only what I want to believe? And that frightens me. And I say, oh no, surely not. But now, when I try to state my beliefs, I feel we ought to bear that possibility in mind. I believe that somewhere there is the complete answer to all life's questions. Somewhere there's the whole truth. And sometimes we're aware of this truth, only we can't describe it. The most we can manage is to say, it was as if I walked with God, or as if I suddenly understood the meaning of all life. And then the moment's gone. And I believe that most of our religious and philosophical beliefs and most of our great works of art, I believe there are human attempts to recapture those moments. Our human as-if pictures, or parables if you like, offering us some glorious glimpses of the truth, but not the whole truth, or at any rate, not for me. Well, I reached that stage in my thinking when I was about 35, 15 years ago. But I found I couldn't stop there, sort of suspended in the middle of nowhere. I felt I needed a practical faith for living my own little 20th century life. So in the end, I tried to draw my own picture. It's what I call a shock-proof picture, designed to guard me against some of the disappointments of life. So it's got no plans for permanent human happiness in it, no paradise on earth, and no pie in the sky. These things may be possible, but I feel they're too far away at the moment to concern me as a practical workman. My picture shows me life as if it were a job of work, with man as the craftsman trying to make a better job of it, and his happiness, such as it is, growing accidentally, as it were, out of his work. And I've found I can apply this rough workman's philosophy to everything I do, whether I'm repairing a motor, or writing an essay, or making love, or taking part in a political meeting, or anything. I can try to make a better job of it, and a better job of myself as a man, and a better job of our human community. Of course, if you ask me what I mean by that word better, well, I mean better as I see it, just as I suppose you mean better as you see it. Maybe that's why we so often make such a mess of things together. But with all our mistakes, I believe we do make progress, even if it's only 1/10 of an inch in 10,000 years. And there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow we can try again. And I believe there are still plenty of tomorrows for the human race, however destructive those threatened future wars may be. I believe human happiness is all in the trying, and especially in the trying again.
That was Herbert Hodge of London, England, whose down-to-earth, common-sense view of life and close identification with the ordinary people of his country have made him one of their favorite spokesmen.
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by Vitalis, Vitalis. Vitalis, the famous preparation that keeps your hair well-groomed, and used with a speedy 60-second workout, helps you to keep your hair. And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens. Our case tonight opens at the dairy farm of Samuel Putnam, a resident of one of the rural sections of your District Attorney's county. Mr. Putnam and his 15-year-old son, Billy, are working in their barnyard. Their chores are interrupted as a car enters the yard, and a man hails them from the driver's seat.
Hello there.
Yeah?
Are you Mr. Putnam?
That's right.
Oh, very well.
Who's that, Pop? I don't know. I never seen him before. Nice-looking car. Yeah.
How do you do, Mr. Putnam?
How do you do, sir?
My name is Grant, sir. George Grant.
I see.
I wonder if I could have a few minutes of your time, sir.
Well, if you're selling something, Mr. Grant, I can tell you right now.
Quite the contrary, Mr. Putnam. Quite the contrary. I'm here to buy.
How do you mean?
Tell me, how many cows do you have here on your farm?
About 60 head.
60, eh? Well, sir, I'm prepared to take them off your hands.
Well, where'd you ever get the idea I wanted to sell?
That's what your neighbors are doing.
Pop, does he mean everyone's selling their cows?
That's right, young man.
Well, what's the purpose of all this?
Haven't you heard of the meat shortage, sir?
Yeah.
Folks in the city need meat very badly.
Oh, sure, yes, but this is dairy country. None of us has beef cattle. We all have milk cows.
Well, they're beef, too.
Sure, but supplying them folks in the city with milk is a lot more important than giving them beef.
Now, look, Mr. Putnam, you farmers had better face the facts. There's a war on. That means a shortage of manpower needed to help run your farms.
Well, me and my boy here can manage all right. Sure we can. Yeah, and so can most of the other fellows around here if they just put their minds to it.
Now listen, Mr. Putnam.
No, you do the listening for a change. Your coming up here to buy our stock is a pretty serious affair.
How?
Well, if my neighbors sell the cows to you, They're just killing off their only means of livelihood. Ordinarily now, I wouldn't pay no attention to their short-sightedness. But this very war that you speak of, that makes it more important than ever that we keep on producing milk.
Is that so?
Yes, sir. Youngsters and mothers down there in the city, they need all we can give them. I've got a little influence in this community, Mr. Grant.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now that I'm going out and talk to these men you've been dickering with and get them to change their minds.
Look, Mr. Putnam, I never get along very well with people who meddle in my affairs.
You don't?
You'd better lay off those other farmers.
Listen, are you threatening me?
No, just giving you some good advice. I came up here to buy beef, and you or anybody else had better not try to stop me.
Oh, Chief.
Yes, Miss
Do
Lim.
you know where Harrington could be? I haven't had any word from him all day.
Well, I can explain that. He's doing a special job for the mayor's office.
Oh, I see.
Yes, His Honor is trying to put a check on some of the black market activities that have been overrunning our town.
Oh, how?
Well, he has men stationed on all roads leading into the city.
What for?
They're stopping trucks to see if they're carrying any meat that hasn't been tagged with a government-inspected stamp.
Oh.
And if this stamp is missing, the men have orders to confiscate the meat.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yes. Now, if we can only enforce it.
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes, come in, Harrington.
Thanks.
How are things on the black market?
Very good, Miss Miller. In fact, almost too good.
Yes, what happened?
Well, I was checking trucks that came off the ferry, and believe me, Chief, business was terrific.
You found a lot of illegal meat?
About 6 truckloads.
Hey.
And don't forget, that was only my score. There are half a dozen other inspectors working today, too.
Yes, I know.
And, Chief, wait till I tell you this.
Yes?
That job was just like old home week.
What do you mean?
Well, you'd have thought I was spending the day down at the police lineup. The guys who were driving those trucks took me right back to Prohibition days.
They were old acquaintances of ours.
Every one of them. The only switch was they were driving meat instead of beer.
Who were they, Harrington?
Well, everyone I pegged used to work for Mike Sutter's old mob.
Mike Sutter?
Yeah. I asked some of them if Mike was operating this racket, and they all claimed on me.
Well, it's pretty safe to guess that he is.
Well, here's one angle I did get out of him, Chief.
Yes, what's that?
Well, all of the trucks came from in and around Centerville.
Centerville?
Yeah.
Well, that's dairy country.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that. Means this beef must come from slaughtered milk cows.
Hey, I guess that's so.
Well, Chief, won't that have an effect on milk production?
Yes, Miss Miller, very definitely.
Well, isn't there anything we can do about it?
I believe there is.
What, Chief?
I think we can carry the mayor's campaign one step further.
How?
By checking this racket at its source. We're going to pay a little visit to the farmers of Centerville.
Who is it?
It's me, Grant.
Oh, come in.
Hello, Mike.
What are you doing in town?
I came in to see you.
Yeah?
Yeah. Looks like we're in a little trouble.
You mean the trucks?
Well, that's just the mayor trying to grab a headline.
I put a mouthpiece to work. We'll get the meat back.
Think so?
Sure. Same thing happened out west. The operators got their meat back before the headlines even got cold.
Oh.
There's things going up in the country.
Well, that's what I come here to the office to talk to you about.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
To be truthful with you, yes.
Well, what? What is it?
Well, a lot of the farmers have canceled out on me.
Well, how do you mean?
They changed their minds about selling their cows.
Well, how come?
There's one man who's responsible for the whole thing.
Oh, yeah?
He's called several meetings and influenced them to hold on to their stock.
Who is this guy?
A man named Putnam.
What's his angle? Is he moving in on us?
No. Just some stupid patriotic motive.
Patriotic?
He feels that milk is more important than beef. He's got the others thinking the same way now.
Did you talk to him?
Sure, but he just won't listen to reason.
Reason? Now, listen, Grant. You never get nothing with that stuff.
I know, but...
Now, this guy has really jammed up the works, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like maybe it's time for me to take over.
What do you mean?
Now, listen. I put you in the front for this thing because you're the white-collar guy with the smart approach. I figured that would work a lot better than muscle.
Yes?
But the collar's no good on a deal like this. Your Putnam guy needs a different treatment.
Oh, now, look, you're not going to use any violence. Remember, you promised me when I came into work for you there'd be no rough stuff.
Who said anything about rough stuff?
But you...
This old farmer just needs a lesson, that's all. And we can give it to him without our ever seeing the guy.
There's a boy standing there in the yard.
Yes. I'll call him over, Chief. Hey, son.
Yes, sir?
Is this the Putnam farm?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Yeah. Is Mr. Putnam around?
No, sir, he's gone into the village.
Are you his son?
Yes, sir, my name's Billy.
Hmm.
Golly, ain't you the district attorney?
That's right.
Gee, I'd know you in a minute. You look just like you.
Really?
Sure. My brother took a lot of pictures of you when you made that speech in Centerville last year. Remember?
Oh, yes, of course.
My brother was a photographer on the Centerville Herald. He's in the Signal Corps now. He takes pictures for them, too.
Oh, I see.
That's what I'm going to do when I'm old enough. Go in the Signal Corps and take pictures.
Well, that's fine, Billy, but just remember that working on a farm is very important, too, right now.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. When do you expect your father back from the village, son?
Oh, he'll be gone most of the day.
Men?
You see, we've had some trouble here at the farm.
Trouble of what sort?
5 of our cows died last night. Oh, what a shame. Pop thinks there was something funny about it.
Yeah?
He had Dr. Thomas the vet out here this morning. Dr. Thomas thinks they was poisoned.
I see.
Pop has gone into the high school laboratory. They're going to analyze stuff for him and make sure.
Billy, your father has been active in trying to organize the farmers around here against selling their livestock, hasn't he?
Yes, sir. Chief, do you think his poisoning was done to get him to lay off?
Well, it could have been.
Yeah. Sounds like something Mike Sutter might do.
Yes, but the description that the other farmers gave us of the man who tried to buy their cows doesn't sound like Sutter.
Well, he probably has a front man working for him.
Yeah.
He's always been a smart operator.
If the cows were poisoned, you sure could find out who done it, couldn't you, Mr. District Attorney?
Well, I could certainly try, Billy.
I think we better be moving, Chief. We're going to cover the rest of this territory.
Yes, you're right, Harrington.
What shall I tell my pop?
Well, just say that we were here to see him, and we'll come out again in the morning.
So. That's the girl. That you, Billy? I got a pail of water once this evening, son, but if you want to...
Good evening, Miss Putnam.
Huh?
Remember me? Grant is the name.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'd like you to meet an associate of mine, Mr. Sutter.
Hi.
What'd you come here for?
Just dropped in to see you.
Yeah?
I wondered if you'd change your mind about selling your cows.
No, sir.
We heard down in the village that you'd had a little tough luck up here last night, Putnam.
Yes, we understand you lost some of your livestock.
That's right.
Too bad. What happened to him?
I was just wondering whether you fellas couldn't answer that.
Why?
Them cows was poisoned.
Is that a fact?
Now, why should anyone want to do a thing like that to you, Mr. Putnam?
Well, I sort of have an idea.
Really?
Yeah. I got to thinking that if somebody wanted to show the other farmers hereabouts that it didn't pay to interfere with certain transactions, why, killing off my cows might be a good way of doing it.
Oh, now, Mr. Putnam, surely you aren't implying that we had anything to do with your misfortune?
I am.
Well, you make us sound like very desperate characters.
I imagine that's what you think you are.
Well, that's hardly the attitude.
Grant. Quit kicking the words around. The old guy knows what goes on.
You mean to say that you're admitting that you did poison my cows?
Sure. That's only the beginning, mister.
Is that so?
Yeah. We got a nice touch working here, and we ain't going to let you jam it up first.
How do you intend to stop me?
We'll kill every cow you got in this barn if we have to.
I wouldn't advise that.
Now, listen. We're running this show. You do as we tell you.
Do what?
Get to them other farmers. Tell them you was wrong about not selling their beef.
Not a chance, mister.
Hey.
You can't pull any cheap gangster stuff on me. Them farmers are keeping the cows.
Yeah?
Yeah. And furthermore, I'm having you both arrested for what you've already done to me.
You talk real big.
This is more than talk.
Yeah?
I happen to know that the district attorney is in Centerville right now. I'm going to call him up.
Wait a minute. You stay right here.
Let go of my arm.
Take it easy, Mike. This guy ain't calling no district attorney.
Oh, ain't I, though?
Come back here.
Oh, no, sir.
Mike, why did you do that? The old bum had it coming to him.
Hey, he's bleeding badly.
So what?
Mike, I think he's dead.
Ain't that a shame?
Pop!
That's his kid.
Yeah.
He may have someone with him. We better get out of here, quick.
Pop, what's the matter?
Yeah, that door. There may be another way out. Come on, Mike.
Okay.
Pop!
Yeah, this is okay. The car's right outside. Come on.
Right.
The kid didn't get in there in time to see us, huh?
All right. Quit worrying.
Yeah. All right, get in quick. You better drive, Mike. I'm too jittery.
Sure.
That's the way out. Around the front of the barn.
Okay.
Oh, Mike, I never thought you'd...
Stop!
The kid.
Yeah.
He's running for the car.
I know.
Hey, look out, Mike. He's running right in front of us. You'll hit him. Mike, you ran over him.
Sure. That's what I was trying to do.
Our case tonight makes very clear one reason we should all help stamp out black markets. Your district attorney has an idea of what's behind this brutal crime. But securing proof is another matter, as we'll learn in just a moment. Right now, a word to the men. Do you know that you can have a smooth, close shave and, at the same time, have the cool, refreshed feeling on your face that every man likes to have when he's through shaving?
Yes, you can have both benefits with Ingram's. INGRAMS. Ingram's Shaving Cream.
You get a close, smooth shave with Ingram's because Ingram's helps condition your face for the razor. Gives you an abundance of velvet, smooth lather that helps wilt the toughest beard.
And in addition, you get a cool shave with Ingram's because Ingram's is made to be cool. Made to leave your face feeling delightfully fresh and invigorated when shaving is over.
So remember, for a face that feels fine after a shave that makes you look your best, it's Ingram's. Ingram's Shaving Cream. Now back to Mr. District Attorney.
Nobody answers in the farmhouse, Chief.
Well, maybe they're down in the barn.
Yeah, okay, we'll take a look down there.
Right.
Oh, you know, it's mornings like this that make you wish you lived in the country.
Yeah, this is swell.
I'll say.
Say, Harrington, have you any idea where Mike Sutter makes his headquarters?
Sure I have, Chief. I think I can put my hands on him any time we want him.
Good.
Say, Chief, I wonder where he ever got the idea.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes, what is it?
Hey, look right there beside the road. That grass is covered with blood.
Yes.
Well, what in the world?
Yeah, trails on up the road. You see?
Yes, in the direction of the barn.
Yeah.
Do you suppose it could be some animal?
Well, I don't know. I think we should find out.
It's easy to follow, all right.
Wait. Huh? Whoever or whatever it was seemed to have fallen down right here, then got up again.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the trail leads right into the barn.
I don't like the looks of this.
Neither do I, Harrington.
Come on, let's go into the barn.
Right.
Go ahead, Miss Smith.
Yes, sir.
Hey, look, the lights are still on at the place.
Yes, so is.
Oh, look!
Holy...
It's the boy!
Yes.
There's another body, Chief.
Don't come any closer, Miss Miller. How are they, Chief?
And the old man is dead.
Huh? Hey, that must be the kid's father.
Two bullet wounds in the head.
What about the boy?
I'm just looking. I'm afraid, though, that... Hold on. I seem to feel a faint pulse beat.
Yeah?
Yes, the boy is definitely alive.
Good.
Chief, is there anything I can do?
There's something we've all got to do. Get this boy to a hospital at once.
And there's none in Centerville.
We'll have to take him into town. Here, give me a hand, Harrington.
Right.
Miss Miller, bring the car down here.
Sure, Chief, right away.
We want to save this youngster. We've really got to make time.
Mike, look at this.
How many times have I told you to knock before you come into my office?
I just got the afternoon papers. They got the whole story.
About the farmer?
Yeah, look here. The kid didn't die.
So what?
He may identify us.
Is that what it says in the story?
No, according to this, he's still unconscious. Very close to death.
Well, what are you worried about?
Well, I get...
Look, you said yourself last night that the kid never seen us when we did it.
Huh?
He didn't even know we were in the barn.
I know, but...
And even if he lives, what have they got on us?
The boy might have seen the license plates, or the tire marks might even be traced.
And that makes it tough on somebody else. Not us.
Why?
That was a stolen car, you chump.
Oh.
Well, the boys picked it up for me before we went out to the sticks.
Oh, I see.
Now, listen, Grant. I'm going to get awful fed up on this crybaby routine of yours. Well, I can't help being concerned. Let that be my department. Well, the only thing we got to do now is to let this thing cool off for a few days before we start operating again.
You mean you're going to continue this thing?
Why not? It's better set up now than it ever was.
How?
That old man being dead will teach them farmers a real lesson. I guarantee we won't have to poison no more cows to get them guys in line.
Oh, but, Mike, it'll be much too dangerous to operate up there again. I, for one, don't want any part of it.
No?
I should say not.
Now, look, chum. You're in this thing whether you want any part of it or not.
But
Shut up. Now, sit down.
Yes?
You and me are going to go over the books this afternoon and figure just how many cows is left up there to grab.
I'm over here, Miss Miller.
Oh.
Did you call the office?
Yep. No messages. Is the boy still in the operating room?
Yeah, the chief's in there with him.
Oh, I do hope they can save him.
It's going to be a tough fight. That kid took plenty.
He's been in there over 2 hours now.
Yeah, I know. If it was my own kid, I couldn't feel any worse.
Yes, I know. Harrington, do you think Sutter was behind this thing?
Sure he was, the dirty punk.
But how are we ever going to be able to prove it?
We got to, Miss Miller.
But there wasn't a clue even.
I know. Our only hope is this kid. If he pulls through and can talk, we may get some.
Oh, I wish that...
Here's the chief.
Oh, how is he?
Oh, he's still alive.
Oh, good.
Has he got a chance?
We don't know yet.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes, Miss Miller. They're taking the boy up to one of the hospital rooms.
Yes.
I want you to go up there and stay with him. I'll join you up there as soon as I talk to Harrington.
Yes, sir.
He's on the 5th floor.
Right, I'll find
What have you got for me, Chief?
I want you to pick up Mike Sutter and take him to my office, Harrington.
Oh, Chief, believe me, this'll be a pleasure.
Chief.
Yes, Miss Miller.
Come here.
Yes.
Look, the boy's moving his hand. Do you think we should call a nurse?
Oh, she'll be right back.
Do you suppose he's coming around?
I don't know.
Well, what should we do?
Nothing. Just watch and wait.
Oh. Did you hear that?
Yes. Yes, he seems to be regaining consciousness.
Bob. What happened, Pop?
No, it's all right, son. It's all right. Just take it easy.
Bob's been hurt.
Don't try to raise your head, Billy.
Huh? What? Where am I?
You're all right, Billy. And just try not to talk too much. Hmm?
Yeah.
Billy, you recognize me?
Sure. District Attorney.
That's right. Now, can you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Good. Now listen carefully, Billy. Can you tell me what happened to your father?
To Pop?
Yes, your Pop. What happened to him?
I don't know.
Oh.
I gotta get back to the barn, though. Back to the barn.
Oh, easy, son. Easy.
The door. The side door of the barn.
Hmm?
District Attorney will get you. He knows.
He's delirious, Chief.
Yes.
Signal Corps. Side door barn.
Billy, please.
Signal Corps. Side door barn.
Chief, I think he's trying to tell us something.
Miss Miller, I think he has.
You know, Chief, this is all a great mystery to me.
Why, how's that, Miss Miller?
Well, in the first place, we come all the way out here to Putnam's barn just because of a little boy's delirious talk.
Yes, that's quite true.
Then the first thing you do when we get here is pick up a broken piece of string and wander around with it.
Well, I'll admit that... just a minute.
Do you see something, Chief?
Yes. I'll get this box over here to stand on.
Oh, can I help you?
Oh, that's all right. I just want to reach this cross beam. There we are.
Can you see all right?
Yes. Well enough to find what I've been looking for.
Oh, that's wonderful, Chief. Is it a definite clue?
I have a feeling it can break the whole case for us.
Oh, good.
Come on, Miss Miller.
Where to now?
Back to the city. We've a lot of work to do.
Listen, Copper.
Yeah?
How much longer do we have to hang around this mousetrap?
Until the district attorney gets here, and, brother, that may be a long time.
I hope you know that you're violating our rights as citizens by detaining us here.
No kidding. What about the rights you violated, Mr. Grant, when you guys knocked off that old man?
Now, listen, are you digging that one up again?
Sure, Sutter. I'm just keeping in practice for the time when I really go to work on you.
You ain't never going to get a chance to work on me.
Don't be too sure.
Look, we don't know nothing about that old farmer.
Oh, hi, Chief.
Oh, Harrington. Did Miss Miller get here yet?
No, but I got some customers for you.
Good.
This here is Mike Sutter.
He knows me.
And this added attraction is Sutter's front man, the one he used on the farmers.
I see.
He was in Sutter's office, so I brought him along.
I demand to know why we're being held here, sir.
Hasn't Mr. Harrington explained that to you?
I did, Chief.
But we know absolutely nothing about the death of that man in the country.
I'm inclined to think otherwise.
Now, look, DA, I can tell you right now. You're wasting your time on this.
I don't think so.
What does he mean?
What happened to that old man and his son was one of the most vicious crimes I've ever encountered.
Listen, save the speeches, DA. What evidence have you got?
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes, come in, Miss Miller. This may be the answer to your question, Sutter.
Here's the envelope.
Thank you, Miss Miller.
What do you got there, Chief?
It's the evidence we've been waiting for.
Huh?
Definite proof of who killed Mr. Putnam.
Yeah?
Harrington, you may arrest these two men on a charge of murder.
Your district attorney will be back in just a moment to explain what he learned from Billy Putnam's delirious cries that led him back to the farm and clinched his case. First, though, here's a fact about Vitalis you'll be glad to know. While wartime Vitalis is manufactured under government restrictions that affect most products during these times of war, Vitalis and the 60-second workout gives you the same three benefits that you and thousands of other men have always enjoyed with Vitalis. And here they are.
First, Vitalis gives you really well-groomed hair. Keeps your hair in place in a natural, masculine way. With Vitalis, your hair doesn't have that obnoxious, plastered-down, patent leather shine.
Second, Vitalis and the 60-second workout helps rout unsightly and often embarrassing loose dandruff.
Third, and very important, Vitalis and massage helps prevent excessive falling hair. It stimulates circulation, you see. Loosens up your tight, dry scalp. So Vitalis and massage helps you keep your hair.
And since wartime restrictions affect the amount of Vitalis we can make, please be patient if your druggist doesn't always have it. We will continue to keep him as well supplied as possible. And please remember, wartime Vitalis gives you the same three benefits you've always enjoyed. Used with a 60-second workout, it gives you well-groomed hair, helps rout loose dandruff, and helps you keep your hair. That's Vitalis. Vitalis. Now, here is your district attorney.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence that solved tonight's case was given to us by a very alert and courageous young man, Billy Putnam. It was his timely thinking that enabled us to try and convict Mike Sutter and his accomplice Grant on the charge of first-degree murder. And they paid for their crime with their life.
Chief, don't you think you ought to tell the folks just what that evidence was?
Well, yes, Miss Miller. I learned about it in young Billy's hospital room. In his delirious ravings, Billy repeated two important things: side door of the barn and signal corps. I remember the side door in the barn, but the signal corps reference eluded me until I suddenly recalled our first conversation with the boy.
You mean about his brother being a photographer in the signal corps?
Yes, Harrington. I took the chance that this meant he had some camera arrangement hooked to that side door.
Which he did.
Yes, the boy had rigged it up the day after the cows were poisoned. He hoped to get a picture of anyone who might attempt it again.
And he sure got a mighty important one. Grant and Sutter leaving the place with the old man dead on the floor.
Chief, I'm sure that everyone will be glad to know that Billy has fully recovered from his ordeal.
Yes, Miss Miller, and we're seeing to it personally that he gets a good home until he's old enough to realize his ambition to join his brother in the Army Signal Corps.
Good. Now, what about next week, Chief?
Well, it's a case I believe every one of our listeners will find very interesting and exciting. The case of the weekend murders. And so, friends, join us again next Wednesday, and until then, thank you and good night.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Jay Jostin was featured in the title role, Len Doyle as Harrington, Vicky Vola as Miss Miller. The music was under the direction of Peter Van Steeden, and the author was Jerry Devine. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by the Bristol-Myers Company, makers of Vitalis, used by more men to keep their hair well-groomed than any other preparation of its kind. Now, just think of the word vital and add I-S. Vitalis. Vitalis for your hair.